Chapter 24. The black-robed young man was Ninggu. At this moment, his expression was cold as he wantonly killed people on the dueling grounds. On the elder seats, there were 4 gold-core old devils, both male and female, but they turned a blind eye to all of this as if they were tacitly approving of his murderous actions. Seeing that there were 4 gold-core old devils guarding this place, Ning Fan originally wanted to immediately save Ninggu, but he changed his mind. He would wait for the old monster to come back, then he would save Ninggu. Relying on himself, he would not be able to save anyone from the hands of 4 gold-core old devils. The black-robed Ninggu wielded the ice ruler and killed 1 evil cultivator with each ruler. It seemed ruthless, but Ning Fan did not care at all. To see Ninggu safe and sound killing evil cultivators, there was nothing in this world more joyous than this. After all, the ones he killed were the disciples of the Heavenly Beast School, right? Ning Fan's eyes revealed the affection of an elder brother. He always looked at Ninggu like this. Ninggu had grown up. His black robe fluttered in the wind, and his cultivation was already at the 10th level of vein opening, so fast. Wait a minute, 10th level of vein opening, only 1 step away from harmonious spirit? Ning Fan suddenly realized a serious problem. Increasing his cultivation was not a good thing for Ninggu. The mysterious fiend cauldron was a cauldron that only gold-core evil women could use. One must be at least harmonious spirit in order to increase their cultivation through dual cultivation. Ninggu was already at the 10th level of vein opening, so in other words, he would soon break through to harmonious spirit and be taken by the evil woman to replenish her yin. With Ninggu's talents, first, he did not have a Dao fruit, and second, he did not have the yin-yang locket. To reach harmonious spirit, he would need at least 10 years, right? Ning Fan's eyes were like lightning, but they contained the experience of an immortal emperor. The huge ice ruler in Ninggu's hand had a crystal light that contained blood and evil. Ninggu's hair was already snow white, and his lifespan had reached its end. Recalling the immortal emperor's memories, Ning Fan suddenly understood something. His heart became angry, and his hatred towards the Heavenly Beast School rose to an unprecedented level. This ice ruler is actually a lost evil technique from the ancient era, the fate-sealing ruler. Killing one person will allow one to steal a strand of their cultivation, but at the same time, it will also reduce one's lifespan. This cultivation, how is this evil cultivation? This is clearly exchanging one's life for cultivation. Not only the enemy's life, but also one's own life. Moreover, the most vicious thing is that this evil technique will make one lose the memory of a lifetime. According to Ning Fan's estimations, Ninggu relied on the fate-sealing ruler to forcefully increase his cultivation to the 10th level of vein opening. He must have killed countless people. Ninggu's lifespan was also running out. Even if his yang wasn't seized by the evil woman, his lifespan would still be exhausted. Even if he saved Ninggu, Ninggu would not be able to recognize him. He might not even know that he was his brother. After that, he couldn't even cultivate, because once he did, he would trigger the killing intent of the life-sealing ruler and take his life. The life-sealing ruler was a self-damaging demonic art that even the ancient Chaos Heavenly Emperor could not dispel. Heavenly Beast School, where did it come from? Heavenly Beast School, this is too much. Outside the venue, Ning Fan looked at Ninggu with sorrow and self-blame. However, all the negative emotions were replaced by a cold and stern voice. I, Ning Fan, am no longer the same as before. Today, I must save Ninggu, I must destroy the Heaven Separation School. Everything would have to wait for the old devil to return, but before the old devil returned, he could still do some things. Ning Fan remained calm and followed Qin Rong to visit a few more venues. Afterward, he found an excuse to drive her away. He touched the 7 or 8 storage pouches on his waist with a cold glint in his eyes. Inside the pouches, there were several 100,000 immortal jades and many rare immortal ores. They were all given to him by the old devil. With so many immortal jades and immortal ores, he could give the Heavenly Beast School a big gift. In the memories of the immortal emperors, there were countless killing grand formations. One of them was to use immortal jades and immortal ores to arrange, then use the divine sense to draw a formation diagram and borrow the power of the mountains and rivers to form a formation, using the energy of the mountains and rivers to kill everything inside the formation. Reverse mountain and river movement. If this formation could be completed, the heavenly beast school would be flooded with rivers of blood. Ning Fan calmly walked out of the venue and bumped into a girl's shoulder on the way. The girl's physique was extremely weak and fragile. After being bumped by Ning Fan, she actually fell to the ground. Her face was covered with a black veil, and her physique was soft. Her chest was covered, her jade-like legs were exposed, and her long hair was loosely tied up. Even though her face could not be seen, she was still a peerless beauty. However, her eyes were strangely pure black, and on this beauty's face, it was a bit demonic. This girl was an expert at acting, and her mind must be as deep as the ocean. Otherwise, she would not be able to casually disguise more than 10 different personalities. He could not see through this little demoness cultivation, so there were only two possibilities. First, this girl had no cultivation, and second, this girl's cultivation had far surpassed the void fragmentation realm, far beyond his scope of knowledge. The possibility of no cultivation was directly denied by Ning Fan. In his heart, he was certain that this girl was a terrifying old monster. Without a doubt. Why would such an old monster want to pester him? Or, should I follow her heart and bring her along to play until she is satisfied, then she will leave. Otherwise, if I continue to be entangled with this girl, I'm afraid I will miss a great chance to save my little brother. Moreover, this girl had some unknown methods and background to know my identity and that I killed Wu Dongnan. Should I think of a way to completely silence this girl? Ning Fan gently raised his finger, the posture of the yin plucking finger, but as soon as he raised his finger, the little demoness jumped away and looked at Ning Fan with a panicked expression. You shameless! You really are humph. If you dare to use your bewitching technique on me, I will pester you for a lifetime, 10 lifetimes. The little demoness softly snorted and recognized the yin plucking finger. She thought for a moment and took out a dark blue short sword from the pouch on her waist. She waved it at Ning Fan as if to demonstrate her might. This is a void treasure. Ning Fan took a deep breath. The dark blue short sword seemed to have form, but it did not have a body. The power contained within was even more vast. Void treasure, a supreme treasure that only a void fragmentation old monster could use. Was this girl really a void fragmentation old monster? With this sword in hand, this girl could even destroy the country of Yu with one sword. This girl cannot be provoked. What exactly do you want? Ning Fan put away the shadow-pursuing sword. In front of a void fragmentation old monster, his meager magical power simply could not resist. For this girl to kill him, it would be easier than pinching an ant. She was pestering him and would not leave until she reached her goal. Didn't I say, wherever you go, bring me along? I promise I will not cause you any trouble, okay? The little demoness put on a sweet smile. Those who did not know her would only think that she was an innocent girl. However, Ning Fan was silently cursing and felt a headache. How did I provoke this demoness? Yin Yang Locket? But this girl did not seem to have any ill intentions towards me. Promise not to cause me any trouble. Your existence is my trouble, forget it. Let's go. I am going to lay down a formation to destroy the Heaven Beast School. If you want to follow, then follow. Ning Fan had no intention of hiding anything from the demoness. Although this body had cultivated, its foundation was too weak, and its body was weak and sickly. Behind him, the little demoness was leisurely yawning. But every time she looked at Ning Fan's eyes, there was a trace of undetectable surprise. In the beginning, the little demoness followed Ning Fan's. She said that it was for fun, but in fact, she had other plans and didn't really put Ning Fan's in her eyes. The ancient chaos descendant was only a harmonious spirit, yet he was being bullied by the heavenly beast sect. But gradually, her attitude towards Ning Fan's began to change. The way Ning Fan looked at her was not as lustful as other men. Ning Fan was clearly a harmonious spirit cultivator, yet he dared to lay out a void rank grand formation and almost succeeded. When she saw Ning Fan collapsing to the ground due to exhaustion of his mental strength, she felt a little sorry for him. This world was huge and exciting. The little demon girl came from the 4 heavens, which was above the 9 realms. Every day, there would be inheritances of ancient fiend gods that flowed out from the godly void tomb. There were ancient Buddhas, heavenly gods, and immortal emperors. That place was a world where strong cultivators stood in great numbers and contended for supremacy. Any youth there was 100 times stronger than the harmonious spirit Ning Fan. The experts there could fill the ocean with a speck of dust, cut down the sun and moon with a blade of grass, and change the reincarnation cycle of heaven and earth with a single breath. However, at this moment, the little demoness suddenly felt that the Ning Fans in front of her would be stronger than the descendants of the fiend gods in the future. Ancient chaos descendant, should I give him a spot in the 9 worlds of the godly void pavilion? Forget it, we'll talk about it in the future. The little demoness shook her head and put down her thoughts. She placed her soft little hand on Ning Fan's back and channeled a magical power. Ning Fans, who was almost unconscious, received this magical power and his weakened mental strength began to recover. He slowly opened his eyes and crawled up from the ground. He heavily exhaled and looked at the little demoness with an extremely complicated gaze. Why did you help me? Little Fan, when did I help you? The little demoness playfully blinked her eyes. Thank you, I owe you a favor. Hee, you better not owe me favors. Those who owe me favors are all dead. The little demoness stroked her black hair and suddenly felt that being with Ning Fans like this was very relaxing. Even though Ning Fan's cultivation was low, his gaze towards her did not have reverence. It was much more comfortable compared to the reverent gazes of those old men. You are the descendant of ancient chaos and I am the descendant of godly void. Above the 9 heavens, there will be a battle, so you better not owe me a favor. Once he breaks through to nascent soul, this incarnation can be considered a minor success. It should barely be able to hide from the power of the world-separating cultivation. The corner of his mouth curled up into a sneer, but his expression immediately changed. He felt a desolate and vast grand momentum of the heaven and earth rising from the heaven separation mountains. Impossible, he exclaimed in shock. Inside the heavenly cloud hall, a wretched gold-core old woman was lying on a bed, pampering a young man. The scene was unbearable to look at. The young man was seated on a lotus by the old woman. After a few rounds, his eyes turned white and he died miserably on the bed. Meanwhile, the old woman sucked out the young man's primordial yang, ending his life. She got up from the bed and coldly said, "Ordinary cauldrons are still lacking in effect. Hee, that Ninggu brat will soon break through to harmonious spirit. At that time, this old woman will properly pamper him." Before she could finish laughing, she suddenly felt the grand momentum of the heaven and earth turning chaotic. Today's astronomical phenomenon is a bit strange. Heavenly separation sect, exiled immortal hall. This was a grand hall specially used to receive guests. Inside the hall, the heavenly separation vice sect master, a late gold core Taoist, was receiving more than 10 evil sect elders. Limitless sect, body seizing sect, extreme Yin gate, almost all of the powerful evil sects in the U country. 7 Apricot City, venerable apothecary Han Yuenji. This person is not to be trifled with, but this is a good excuse to force the sinister Sparrow sect to hand over the profound Yin Qi. This item is one of the 12 heavenly frost cold energies, something that schoolmaster Wuxia needs. At that time, fellow Taoists only need to help my sect slightly threaten the sinister Sparrow sect. You must be joking, the profound Yin Qi is not easy to obtain. No worries, schoolmaster Wuxia will have a way. The vice sect master revealed a meaningful smile. While everyone was discussing, they suddenly felt the grand momentum of the heaven and earth turning chaotic. They all stood up with a bewildered expression. Strange. What happened? On the floating jade platform, the competition was still ongoing. Unknowingly, there were many more people in the 15th venue. Most of these people were attracted by the cold-blooded murderous Ninggu in the venue. Ninggu's black robe fluttered in the wind. With a wave of his huge ice ruler, none of the 10th level vein opening cultivators could withstand 3 of his moves. He used one ruler to kill people with a wooden expression. Only his eyes hid a trace of sorrow. It was as if he had lost his memories and soul. He could not remember why he wanted to kill people. He felt that he should have a big brother called Ning Fan. But he could not remember anything about Ning Fan. His memories were a blur. Every time he killed someone, Ninggu's life would decrease a bit. He was not afraid of death, but he had regrets in his heart. He wanted to remember everything about his big brother. Ning Fan, who is it? As soon as the name Ning Fan's appeared in his mind, he felt a splitting headache. He dropped the ice ruler and fell to the ground. The 4 Jindan old monsters saw that Ninggu was behaving strangely. Immediately, one of them came down from the high platform and came to investigate. However, before he arrived, an icy rainbow flashed and turned into a young man in white clothes and a black cloak. He appeared in front of Ninggu. Hiss! What a fast speed! This young man is only an early harmonious spirit cultivator, but his speed is about the same as mine. This young man was Ning Fan. His face was covered with a broad cold cloth. No one could see his face. He gently helped Ninggu up and smiled gently. That smile made Ninggu's heart sad, but he could not remember where he had seen it before. Who are you? Do I know you? I can't remember. Why can't I remember? Ninggu felt his headache getting worse. You don't need to think, you don't need to understand anything. Just remember that I am your big brother, that is enough. Let's go home. He pulled Ninggu and walked out of the venue, completely ignoring the 4 gold core old devils. The 4 gold core old devils' expressions changed drastically. This Ninggu was the cauldron that Elder Song wanted. How could they let someone take him away? Junior. Wait. The 4 gold core old devils coldly snorted at the same time as they fiercely pressed down with their aura. Immediately, an even more tyrannical and fierce aura came back. He is your father's disciple. Coming to kick your heavenly beast school is giving you face. Scram for your father. The old monster jumped up and stood in the sky. He opened his mouth and spewed out 8 black fire dragons. He laughed loudly on the jade platform and began his massacre. The jade platform suddenly became chaotic. Countless heavenly beast school disciples were frightened and quickly ran away. The 4 gold core old devils saw the old monster's black flames and immediately recognized his identity. Black evil flame, Han Yuanji. Unexpected, absolutely unexpected. They didn't think that the heavenly beast school had yet to retaliate against Han Yuanji, but Han Yuanji dared to cause trouble at the heavenly beast school first. However, something that shocked them even more appeared. Not only was the heavenly beast school shocked, but at this moment, the entire Yu country and even several powerful void fragmentation old devils of the rain world were shocked. Ning Fan turned into an icy rainbow and carried Ninggu to stand side by side with the old monster in the sky. His eyes revealed an ostentatious and domineering expression. The corners of his lips curled into a cold smile as he spoke words that shocked the entire world. The Black Evil Gate Master, Ning Fan, came to settle the previous enmity and destroy the Heavenly Beast School. This voice was mixed with the murderous aura of an immortal emperor. With these words, the mountains and rivers became silent and turned into a world-destroying explosion. The mountains and rivers reversed and the grand formation began to operate. Under the grand momentum of the heaven and earth, all mortal bodies would perish. On the Heavenly Beast Mountain, blood filled the sky as the mountains and rivers collapsed and the earth trembled. An extremely angry roar came from the back of the mountain. Chapter 26. Almost in the blink of an eye, the Heaven Separation Mountain collapsed. The 100 miles of pavilions were crushed in just one breath. Plants withered and turned into ashes. In the bloody light, the vein-opening heavenly separation mountain disciples were shaken by the momentum and turned into a bloody mist. As for the harmonious spirit experts, they could only hold on for a few breaths before their immortal veins were crushed by the momentum. Only the gold core experts were able to hold on, but all of their gold cores were shattered and their cultivation dropped to harmonious spirit. Moreover, they would never be able to form a gold core for the rest of their lives. This grand formation did not have the true power of the void level because there were not enough immortal jades. Otherwise, even nascent soul and spirit severing cultivators would be crushed by the momentum. How could these old monsters only have their gold cores shattered? After all, the power of this formation should be at the peak of the nascent soul realm. There was only one person in the entire heaven separation sect who was unharmed. Schoolmaster Wuxie, Si Wuxie. In the back mountain, he stood in the sky with a cold gaze while stepping on the stars. The heaven separation sect was annihilated by the black evil sect. To him, this was a humiliation. Si Wuxie knew Han Yuanji and the old monster. She was not afraid of the old monster because she knew that his cultivation had fallen. Han Yuanji. I will not ask for the reason. Today, you all can die. Hee hee. Your father has not lived long enough, I don't want to die. The old monster stepped forward and shouted, shattering Si Wuxie's pressure as he sneered. He waved his sleeve and summoned the Dan fragmentation cauldron. The black cauldron grew with the wind and 8 fire dragons flew around. The old monster's hair and beard fluttered in the wind as his evil aura covered the sky. With one finger, the black cauldron's fire dragons suppressed Si Wuxie. The clouds in the sky were evaporated by the fire dragons. This cauldron carried the power of a gold core cultivator to retreat. Above the ruins of the heaven separation sect, the 10 severely wounded gold core cultivators all raised their heads in fear. Dan fragmentation cauldron. Black evil flame. With this item, the old monster once killed a late gold core cultivator and replaced him as one of the top 10 experts of the U country. But other than this, the low-key old monster almost never revealed himself, causing others to speculate about his strength and whether or not he just happened to kill that gold core cultivator. Late harmonious spirit but with the earth vein demonic flame, the old monster was enough to fight against the Yu ancestor. Behind the old monster, Ning Fan's pale face frowned as he supported his little brother. There was no need to doubt the old monster's strength, but Si Wuxie was also extremely strange. Firstly, he couldn't tell Si Wuxie's gender. He couldn't tell whether this person was male or female. Secondly, when he faced Si Wuxie, the yin-yang locket actually trembled slightly. That trembling was like excitement, like joy, as if there was something on Si Wuxie that made the yin-yang locket drool, wanting to obtain it. Third, Si Wuxie's imposing manner. This aura gave Ning fans an illusion that Si Wuxie was not weaker than the old monster. Could it be that this person was like the old monster, a big shot, but his cultivation base was destroyed? No, it seemed different. As Ning Fan expected, when Si Wuxie saw the old monster take out the Dan fragmentation cauldron and the black evil flame, her eyebrows wrinkled, but she was not afraid. He shook his long sleeves, and a fragrant wind blew. A cold light shot out from his sleeves and touched the giant cauldron, making a thunderous sound. The cold light collided with the giant cauldron. The two magical treasures were actually equally matched. His long sleeves waved, rainbows danced, and magic power surged. The two of them were in a stalemate. That cold light was transformed into countless sword techniques by Si Wuxie, while the old monster controlled the fire to resist. Each of his techniques was above the nascent realm. Mountains crumbled and rocks fell, creating strange phenomena in the sky. The entire Yu country could faintly feel the fluctuations of this place. Nascent realm magical techniques consumed a lot of magic power. The old monster and Si Wuxie were not mortals, but the old monster's magical power was only harmonious spirit, one realm lower than Si Wuxie. These two people appearing in the Rain Immortal country in Yu country was a bit strange with Ning Fan's intelligence. The old monster seemed to be living in seclusion here. What was Si Wuxia's purpose? This kind of person, for a mere elder, would clearly know that the old monster was not to be trifled with, but still declared to sweep through 7 Apricot City? He should have other plans. This Yu country, what was there that he wanted to obtain? This kind of person did not need fame and fortune, did not seek hegemony, it should be for treasures. Ning Fan being able to think of this was already not bad. As for Si Wuxia's specific plan, it was not something he could ask. Ning Fan could not intervene in the battle between the two, even the gold cores on the side did not dare to intervene. But looking from afar, with his immortal emperor-level eyesight, he was able to clearly see Si Wuxia's cold light. That was not a cold light, it was clearly a small silver lightning sword. What surprised him was not the small sword itself, but the silver lightning starlight inside the sword. This is a fragment of the ancient star system. Isn't this a divine material that could only be used by the ancient fiend gods to forge divine weapons? Ning Fan being surprised was not strange. Divine weapons that could use the immemorial star to forge had a special characteristic, and that was that the magical treasure itself could advance in rank. Generally speaking, after a magical treasure was formed, its rank would be fixed, and it would not be able to advance for the rest of its life. And in order to increase the power of the inherent magical treasures, the 4 heavens and 9 worlds had a new secondary profession, Spirit Augmentation Master. Although the magical treasure's rank could not be increased, it could be enhanced by attaching divine abilities. For example, the old monster's Dan Fragmentation Cauldron had the Body Lock divine ability, and the Shadow Chasing Sword that he obtained from killing Wu Dongnan had the Shadow Chasing divine ability. It was common sense that magical treasures could not advance in rank, but there was a divine material that could break this common sense. The Immemorial Star. The ancient fiend gods used the immemorial star to forge divine weapons. These divine weapons could be continuously refined and advanced until they finally became divine weapons that could suppress the 10 directions worlds. For example, the Yin-Yang locket in his Dantian contained the immemorial star. There was also a rumor that during the immemorial era, there was an emperor's son that controlled 1 billion worlds and refined an entire immemorial star into an invincible treasure. Unexpectedly, Si Wuxia had a heaven-defying item like the immemorial star, and he even refined a flying sword with a cold light. It was no wonder that the Yin-Yang locket trembled. After all, both of them had the aura of the immemorial. The Rain Immortal world that was located in the lower realms absolutely could not have a divine material like the immemorial star. It seemed like Si Wuxia's origin was not small, and it was very likely that he also came from the upper realms, the 4 heavens world. Ning Fan's mind recalled the characteristics of the immemorial star to search for a way to deal with the immemorial divine weapons. Immemorial divine weapons, when the treasure was formed, the star river would shatter immemorial divine weapons, able to shatter stars and cut moons. Immemorial divine weapons, only fiend gods could completely control them. His eyes lit up. The last point seemed to be the weakness of the immemorial divine weapons. Only fiend gods could use immemorial divine weapons. But what were fiend gods? Fiend gods were the inheritors of the immemorial evil veins. The old monster was one, and he was also one. However, Ning Fan carefully looked at Si Wuxia in front of him and found that he was not. Strange, if he did not have a fiend god physique, why would he have an immemorial divine weapon? Strange and incomprehensible, but a thought emerged in Ning Fan's mind. If I use my body to seize the sword, I have a 60% chance of seizing this sword. His eyes revealed a hesitant expression. 60% chance of seizing this sword. 40% chance of dying under this sword. Can't only rely on the old monster saving Ninggu and destroying the Heaven Separation School. This is my choice. If I cannot win against Si Wuxia, then I will play dirty. While Ning Fan was hesitating, the old monster and Si Wuxia's battle gradually became clear. Relying on the cold light of the flying sword, Si Wuxia stood in the air motionlessly and flicked his fingers to control the sword. As time went on, the old monster's disadvantage began to show. His and Si Wuxia's battle prowess were equal, but there was a great disparity in their magical power. Si Wuxia's half-step nascent soul magical power was at least 10 times that of the old monster's late harmonious spirit. Using magical treasures consumed the most magical power. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the old monster's magical power began to run out and his breath became chaotic. Ninggu has been saved, it is time to run, the old monster frowned. Want to run? Aren't you going to leave anything behind? Although Si Wuxia said so, she was secretly relieved in her heart. He also didn't want to fight to the death with the old monster. Both of them were great characters, and at this place, they had a tacit understanding to reunite. A mere lower realm sect was not worth risking their lives, but Ning Fan didn't want to leaven Ninggu's grudge. How will it be settled? He, Ning Fan, had laid down a grand formation and killed countless disciples of the Heaven Separation School. But this blood was not enough. He lifted his eyes and looked at the cold light of Si Wuxia's sword with determination. After placing Ninggu on the cloud, he stepped on an icy light and turned into an icy rainbow. He bravely used his flesh and blood body to meet the cold light of the sword. 60% is life and 40% is death, but I have the yin-yang locket, I'll not die. A cold light slashed across Ning Fan's body, causing blood to fill the sky. The old monster's expression greatly changed while Si Wuxia was slightly startled, then he let out a mocking smile. You want to steal my spirit-severing divine weapon? Unfortunately, you are not enough, is that so? The blood light dissipated, revealing Ning Fan's body covered in blood. His hands didn't avoid the sword's edge and tightly grasped the sword's body. In a flash, Si Wuxia's charming face became pale and could no longer remain calm. He felt that his connection with the flying sword was gradually disappearing. This body was not his original body, so he couldn't control the divine weapon as he pleased, but he also shouldn't let a harmonious spirit steal the treasure sword. He looked at Ning Fan again. His entire body was covered in blood, but his hand was still holding the cold light of the flying sword. The flying sword pierced his chest. If it went half an inch deeper, it would have broken his heart and taken his life. But he remembered the ancient chaos and how he used his blood to crazily draw a seal on the sword's body. The yin-yang evil vein moved, and the ownerless flying sword immediately escaped Si Wuxia's control and recognized him as its master. A treasure of the immemorial stars was a divine weapon that could only be controlled by gods and devils. A mere Si Wuxia, no matter how strange you are, with your mortal body, what qualifications do you have to control this sword? From today onwards, you are my sword. I will name you, Separation Slayer. The meaning is to cut off the heaven separation. Ning Fan grasped with one hand and a dot of starlight turned into a 3-chi-long sword. The sword's light was like water, like dew and lightning. Separation Slayer, this was not a sword, but Ning Fan's determination. Si Wuxia, I will ask one last time, is there a solution to the life-sealing ruler? Nope. Si Wuxia's eyes became gloomy. Even though this sword was a divine weapon, it rarely used the immemorial stars, so it was not important. But he was angry at Ning Fan, this little mouse. A weak and small person repeatedly angered him. Is that so? Why am I so weak, so unbearable? Chapter 27. He knew that with his current strength, no matter what, he would not be able to make Si Wuxia take him seriously, and it was even more impossible for him to survive half a move. The law of the cultivation world was the survival of the fittest. Even though he was a harmonious spirit, he was still a weakling. Are you awake? He asked the yin-yang locket. And your mind is in a mess, causing the yin-yang locket to continuously rain. How can I sleep peacefully? The mysterious woman in the yin-yang locket complained. Lend me your power once, okay? Consider that I, Ning Fan, owe you a favor. My power is isolated by the yin-yang locket, but I have a way to help you. What condition? Ning Fan was not a fool, the other would not show goodwill for no reason. One day, save me and leave this place, sure. As he uttered these two words, a strong aura gradually rose from his body. On top of the Separation Slayer, a magical power that was as soft as water quietly spread out, but in the end, it turned into a black flame. Ning Fan was still a harmonious spirit, but this sword was lent to him by the mysterious woman. Just this once he did not want to know Si Wuxia's origin at this moment. There were only 4 words left in his heart. Revenge must be taken. This is my Joss flame power. Now, there's only a trace of it left, but this trace is enough for you to display 1 sword strike. Thank you. 1 sword turned into fire, yin and yang, separation slayer, and the murderous aura of an immortal emperor. And this trace of Joss flame made Ning Fan silently close his eyes. This sword could not be replicated before he became an immortal, but this sword was enough to shock the world. Si Wuxia's expression greatly changed. Ning Fan was clearly only a harmonious spirit, but the sword aura he was preparing was something that even he was afraid of. He was hesitant, but he understood that he absolutely could not let Ning Fan use the complete sword. Each of his sleeves carried a rainbow light that was enough to easily tear Ning Fan to shreds. This was the #1 expert in Ning Fan, if not for his core formation cultivation, would not have been able to withstand 1 or 2 of his attacks. 1 man and 1 sword, weak and fragile in the wind, all of the attacks were blocked by the old monster. There was also the old monster watching from the side. He saw Ning Fan take away Si Wuxia's flying sword. Although he did not know the details, he could see that Ning Fan wanted to determine the victor with this sword. If Ning Fan was alone, he wouldn't be able to display this sword technique. But as Ning Fan's master, would he just stand by and watch? What kind of joke was this? When a disciple is in trouble, what should a master do? Help, 1 cauldron, 1 fire, 2 slaps, helping to kill Si Wuxia was the right thing to do. 1-on-1, playing fair. What kind of joke was this? Ning Fan was 2 whole realms lower than Si Wuxia. Was this fair? Indeed, the old monster did not want to fight to the death with Si Wuxia, but if he had to choose between Si Wuxia and Ning Fan, he would definitely choose Ning Fan. The Black Demon sect valued the relationship between master and disciple. Han Yuanji, you still dare to stop me? Si Wuxia was startled and angry. Of course. The old devil laughed. What was fairness to demonic cultivators? The more people there were, the fairer it was. The bigger the fist, the fairer it was. To the old monster, there was no such thing as fairness. Han Yuanji, you are just a deacon of the 4 oceans. Are you really going to offend your superiors? Ha, Si Wuxia, you are a monster that is neither a man nor a woman. Don't talk nonsense, take this father's cauldron. As the cauldron smashed down, Si Wuxia was caught off guard. Her pretty face changed colors, but she could only block it and angrily shouted. Still not coming to help this sect. Stop this person from condensing his sword energy. These words were said to the gold core spectators. These heavenly beast school elders were all seriously injured and had already hidden far away, afraid of getting involved in the battle. At this moment, after receiving Si Wuxia's order, they naturally braced themselves and rushed towards Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan's eyes turned cold as his sword light moved. The dozen heavenly beast school elders simply could not get close. They had an intuition that touching this sword light would result in death. This is the incense flame. At this moment, Ning Fan's sword aura was completed, and the sword fell. The closest heavenly beast school elders were directly cut to death by this sword. This sword light carried a hint of faintness, causing Ning Fan's harmonious spirit cultivation to have the power of a peak gold core cultivator. No matter the means, I will destroy the heavenly beast school. This is my obsession, master, let me do it. It was as if his entire body had turned into a sword light that rushed straight towards Si Wuxia. Not good. Si Wuxia's expression changed. He slapped his storage pouch and a flying sword flew towards Ning Fan's chest. However, when this sword flew towards Ning Fan's sword light, it first shook, then immediately shattered into countless pieces. This flying sword that was enough to make countless countries' gold core crazy was shattered just like that. Si Wuxia's heart felt fear for the first time in his life because he saw a trace of madness in Ning Fan's eyes. A demonic shadow with a crazed gaze. This sword was a reckless sword frenzy. Her expression changed as she took out a jade pendant and was about to form a magical seal. If she could form a magical seal, then she could use this jade pendant to borrow a trace of his terrifying true body's power. This jade was called the Boundary Jade and was extremely rare. Break. But what came into his ears was Ning Fan's cold voice. The Boundary Jade was mercilessly cut into pieces with one sword. The sword light closed in, fast, too fast. Si Wuxia's body was surrounded by the sword light as if he was being pierced by millions of fine threads. He immediately lost all feeling in his meridians and essence. Before fainting, he resentfully stared at Ning Fan. He never would have thought that when he was fighting against the old monster, this little ant would borrow the Joss flames to injure him. Hate, so much hate. Ha, so what if you kill me? I am only an incarnation of the true body. Kill me and the true body will know about the changes in the rain world and will certainly find a way to descend to the 9 worlds. Your Joss flames are extraordinary, but you don't know that your master is above the 4 heavens with countless enemies. If you kill me, my true body will bring your master's enemies to destroy your master. Hearing this, Ning Fan's crazed eyes suddenly trembled. With a trace of clarity, he stopped the last sword light and spared Si Wuxia's life. The Si Wuxia in front of him was only an incarnation. So it was like this: he was an external incarnation created by an expert above the 4 heavens? Only a void fragmentation old monster could comprehend an external incarnation. This Si Wuxia's true body was at least a void fragmentation cultivation, maybe even higher. No wonder everyone said that the Heavenly Beast School's waters were deep, so this was the reason killing an incarnation could lead the old monster's enemies to the Rain World, to the Yu country, to deal with the old monster. The old monster helped me save Ninggu, but I will cause the old monster's death. Can't kill him. He restrained the killing intent in his heart and forcefully withdrew the sword light. Once this sword light scattered, his Joss flames immediately scattered and he lost all of his power. The backlash was not light, but he stubbornly pressed down on Si Wuxia's fragrant shoulder. Si Wuxia's charming expression changed. He didn't expect that his casual words would scare Ning Fan. However, the old monster could see the struggle in Ning Fan's heart when he stopped. He knew how much Ning Fan hated the Heavenly Beast School, so he brought Ning Fan here. The biggest gift of the apprenticeship ceremony was to rescue Ninggu. However, the old monster didn't expect that Ning Fan was willing to let go of his hatred for him. This disciple, he did not accept the wrong person. Know what? You don't dare to kill me. Si Wuxia's immortal veins were shattered and he lost all of his magical power without any power to resist. Won't kill. I won't kill you, but I have a way to deal with you. You can look forward to it. Ning Fan crazily endured his killing intent. He couldn't kill Si Wuxia and couldn't involve the old monster, but he, even more, could not let him go. The tip of his sword shifted to the side and moved past his chest. He shook off the sword flame and pierced Si Wuxia's lower abdomen. Dao fruit. Killing the Heavenly Beast School elders actually produced a Dao fruit in the end. Before these elders' cultivation fell, they were all gold core cultivators. Old monsters above the gold core realm had a chance of forming a Dao fruit after dying. His divine sense swept the Dao fruit in front of him and Ning Fan faintly smiled. Rumor has it that killing 100 gold core cultivators would give 1 Dao fruit, and this was the normal probability. His luck was not bad. Killing 6 gold core cultivators resulted in a Dao fruit. He withdrew his divine sense and placed the Dao fruit into his storage pouch. Seeing this, the old monster's face turned green. His mind was unbalanced and difficult to balance. How could he balance it out? Little brat Ning, did you step on something? Your father killed 9, but there was nothing. You killed 6, and there was a Dao fruit. The old monster looked at the sky and the ruins of the Heavenly Beast School. The more he thought about it, the more he felt it was unfair. Even though the Heavenly Beast School was destroyed, there should be many good things in the ruins. He killed people for half a day and only obtained a few storage pouches. Little brat Ning had the separation slayer sword, a Dao fruit, and even captured a half-step nascent soul old monster to refine into a puppet. Ah, I can't compare to this guy. I want to go down there to look for treasures. The old monster pointed at the mountain ruins and curled his lips like an old child. Go, I won't stop you. If you don't go, then I will. The commotion here is too big. Be careful of attracting a void fragmentation old monster to search your soul and erase your memories. Ning Fan shook his head and was too lazy to care about the old monster. His heart was empty after his revenge. He turned into an icy rainbow and carried Ninggu and Si Wuxia back towards the direction of 7 Apricot City. As for the old monster, he stayed in the same place with a struggle in his heart. After going all out, all the good things were taken by Ning Fan. Not fair. Not fair. Ah, but how could there be fairness in the cultivation world? The bigger fist was the fairest. Wasn't this what the old monster himself said? 100 miles of ruins without a single living being, anyone would be curious after seeing it. The old monster swallowed his saliva. If a void fragmentation old monster really came here to investigate, then maybe they would kill him with one palm and erase his memories. If that happened, then it would be a great loss. Forget it, your father will go back to 7 Apricot City and continue the 54th Dan refinement. This time, your father must refine a 4th revolution. Dan. The old monster turned into a black rainbow and left with complex emotions. What made him the most complicated was Ning Fan's decision at the last moment, the struggle of not killing Si Wuxia. His heart slightly trembled. He had countless enemies and many disciples in his life, but all of them died one by one. The only ones that didn't die were Ning Fan and one evil disciple. Ning Fan was a good disciple. The destruction of the Heavenly Beast School was only discovered 3 days later by several Gold Core explorers. The destruction of a school in Yu was not a trivial matter. In the end, it was the #1 evil school in Yu. In the end, the experts of the Rain Hall even intervened. However, after these experts found the aura of the old monster, they all became silent. In the end, the matter of the Heavenly Beast School caused a huge wave in Yu, but the Rain Hall remained silent on this matter. This was not a normal matter. The Rain Hall not intervening meant that the person who destroyed the Heavenly Beast School was an expert that even the Rain Hall was wary of. The #1 evil school in Yu changed masters. After the struggle for supremacy, the sinister Sparrow School inherited the majority of the spirit veins of the Heavenly Beast School. As for the Heavenly Beast School, all the old monsters kept their mouths shut in fear of accidentally offending the tyrannical character that destroyed the Heavenly Beast School. They didn't know that this character that the Rain Hall was wary of was only an old monster at the end of his road. He was only living in seclusion in Yu, nothing more. On that day, he gave his disciple a big gift. The destruction of the Heavenly Beast School. He had made Ning Fan realize how small and weak he was. He had also shown Ning Fan how strong he was. He had done what a master should do. The destruction of the Heavenly Beast School was then thrown aside by the old monster. He began to refine the 54th Dan with anticipation and helplessness. He vaguely knew that consuming this pill might not restore his cultivation. That evil disciple, will he come back from the wrong path? When the old monster was thinking, the fire in the furnace became unstable, almost causing him to fail. Ning Fan returned to 7 Apricot City and went into seclusion for a few days just to concoct a type of pill to cure his brother Ninggu. After the Dan was formed, he left 7 Apricot City with Ninggu and went to a small village that was isolated from the rest of the world. He left and Ninggu stayed. This was Ninggu's request. Ninggu hoped that he could stay here without having to kill, without having to fight for his life, These were only the superficial reasons. The biggest reason why Ninggu lived in seclusion in the mountain village was because he was afraid of meeting Ning Fan. He couldn't remember his older brother. Every time he saw his older brother, his head would explode, and he would make his older brother feel pain, guilt, and self-blame. Before he completely remembers Ning Fan, he did not plan to acknowledge Ning Fan. Even if he regained his memories, he was unwilling to cultivate in this life. Everyone has their own ambitions. Ninggu and Ning Fan are ultimately different. If there is a day when I remember you, I will go find you. Ninggu stood at the entrance of the village and sent Ning Fan off with his eyes. There will be such a day. Where do you want to live? What kind of life do you want to live? I can promise it to you. If you want to live a peaceful life, I will grant you beautiful scenery. If you want wealth, I will grant you a country's city and a human emperor. If you want immortality, I will grant you cultivation methods and pills to help you become an immortal. No matter what you want, I can give it to you. Ning Fan gently smiled, but in reality, he was not happy and only felt self-blame. Brothers did not have to live together, nor did they have to have similar backgrounds. They didn't even have to be like-minded. Perhaps the trajectory of life separated the two of them. But as long as he knew that the other party was still alive and was looking up at the same sky as him, the concern in his heart would not disappear. Not everyone liked to be together with one person when they achieved the Tao. With this concern, no matter how many people Ning Fan killed or how many people hated him, he would never forget that he was a human and not a devil. I once swore to destroy the Heaven Separation School, and I did it. But I am too weak. On the path of cultivation, I am insignificant, but I have already stepped on this path. There is no turning back, I can only continue. Under the wind, on the peak of the mountains, Ning Fan stood among the clouds and quietly watched Ninggu who was in the village. The shackles in his heart were broken. He raised his head and the sky became even wider. He lowered his head and the earth became even more vast. Heaven is my wife, the earth is my concubine. That year, Ancient Chaos perhaps had this kind of feeling. Ancient Chaos, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here today. If there is a chance in the future, I will help you to make the name of Ancient Chaos resound throughout the universe. Ascend to the pinnacle of cultivation. This was the heart of cultivating Tao. Next time, there would be no more Joss flames. Chapter 28. In 7 Apricot City, the night was like water. Shiha had already fallen asleep with a peaceful expression. Ning Fan put on his clothes and pushed the door open to face the moonlight while thinking about Ninggu who was 1,000 miles away. There will be a day like that. He stretched his waist with a warm expression. Even the coldness of 7 Apricot City could not drown it. Once the old monster returned to 7 Apricot City, he began his never-ending cauldrons exploding day after day. Ning Fan was happy and leisurely waiting for the old monster to ask him for Dan concoction. Under the moonlight, he sat in the courtyard and organized the many storage pouches on his waist. Among them, some were given by the old monster and some were taken by himself. Magical treasures were not in Ning Fan's eyes. Now that he had obtained the Separation Slayer sword, his future magical treasure would definitely be this item. After all, this item was refined from an immemorial star and could evolve with extraordinary potential. Merit laws were also not in Ning Fan's eyes. He had an immortal emperor's inheritance, so a mere gold core merit law was useless to him. If it was a void fragmentation merit law, then it would be useful. After all, the immortal emperor's inheritance only went up to void fragmentation, there were no higher ranked merit laws. There were a lot of dawn that could be taken later. There were also a few spirit equipments. In the 9 great immortal worlds, spirit equipments were divided into 6 levels: Silver Mysterious, Gold Mysterious, Jade Mysterious, Earth Mysterious, Sky Mysterious, and Spirit Mysterious. Only void fragmentation old monsters could afford mysterious spirit equipments. The Fire Jade Ring that recognized him as its master was a Silver Mysterious spirit equipment. Among the spoils of war, there were 2 gold mysterious spirit equipments that were comparable to gold core level magical treasures. One was an ancient beast wrist guard and the other was a blue silk ribbon. The ancient beast wrist guard could increase a gold core expert's wrist strength by 30%. Don't underestimate 30%. For a body refinement cultivator, 30% increase in wrist strength was enough for them to fight above their realm. The blue silk ribbon could create a stealth effect similar to an invisibility art, but it did not require magical power. Even the most perfect invisibility art would have flaws and consume magical power. There was bound to be a flow of magical power, so it was often seen through by others. But spirit equipments were different. They did not require magical power and passively added abilities. Ning Fan put on the ancient beast wrist guard and used the ribbon to tie his long hair. Then, he used the spirit power in his immortal vein to brand the two equipments with spirit seals to complete the master recognition. It wasn't difficult for Ning Fan to recognize him as his master. After that, Ning Fan felt that his strength had increased by a lot. The strength in his right wrist had increased by 30%. If he were to execute his swordsmanship, his sword chi would probably be much stronger. As for the invisibility effect of the ribbon, Ning Fan's heart moved. A green light flashed and his figure slowly disappeared into the snowstorm. A moment later, rows of strange footprints were left on the snowy ground, as if ghosts were walking. Ah! There's a ghost! A shriek came from outside the wall. It seemed to be little Dugu. Ning Fan removed his invisibility and felt rather speechless. Was it very scary to be invisible? It was as if he had seen a ghost. Moreover, little Dugu herself was a ghost. What's more, ghosts were extremely common in the cultivation world. Even a first-level vein-opening realm cultivator dared to subdue demons and exorcise ghosts. This Dugu is so timid. Could it be that he's afraid of ghosts? Interesting. The corner of Ning Fan's mouth curved into a smile. He walked out of the courtyard with his clothes still on, heading towards the solitary grave of the serene plum tree. Under the plum tree, there was a white-clothed female ghost. Her shoulders were as smooth as a knife, and her hair was like a waterfall. Her slim waist was standing in the cold wind and snow. There was a plum blossom on her temple. Her beautiful eyes were like orchids in an empty valley. Her appearance was cold, causing people to feel pity for her. She stood there like a lonely plum blossom. However, her cold face at this moment had a trace of shame, as if she made a fool of herself in front of little devil Ning. You didn't even say anything when you went invisible. I thought I saw a ghost. Dugu's elegant eyebrows raised and rolled her eyes at Ning Fan's. Her fragrant soul floated back into the grave. I didn't know that a female ghost would be afraid of ghosts. Speaking of which, why did you die here? What is your relationship with Master? Ning Fan stretched his muscles and bones, issuing creaking sounds. Why do I have to tell you? Han Yuanji is not a good person. You are not a good person either. Every night with that little girl, aren't you tired? The noise is so loud that I can't sleep. Dugu's angry voice came from the grave. Did it disturb you? I'm really sorry. I also didn't know that Jiha would be so loud. You're still talking. You are shameless. You don't know shame. You are not a good person, not at all. In the grave, Dugu's voice was a little panicked. She was unmarried and was disturbed by Ning Fan's moaning every day. It was enough to make her heart tremble. Jiha was crying out in pain, but why did she say don't stop sometimes? If it wasn't painful, then why was she crying so miserably? Little Dugu's heart trembled as she firmly believed Ning Fan's identity as a peerless perverted devil. Worthy of being the old monster's disciple. Also a little devil Ning. Hateful, very hateful. Doing that every day, can't you do it further away? So loud and so miserably. Don't you know that there is a dead person who needs to sleep? This lady is not married yet. This is so impure. Dugu's heart felt a bit wronged and scolded Ning Fan's as little devil Ning. As for Ning Fan, he was amused by Dugu's angry tone and didn't mind it at all. I am not a good person in the first place. To me, the word good person is a luxury. Then, Ning Fan stopped talking. He no longer bickered with Dugu and sat under the bluestone, staring at the remaining two sword intents on the bluestone. There should have been 3 of them, but the fire transformation sword was accidentally taken away by him. Seeing Ning Fan's staring at the sword energy, Dugu was a bit worried. You are not allowed to steal the sword energy. Don't worry, I will not take away this sword energy for the time being. These 2 sword energies are very strong. Without a gold core cultivation, I cannot withstand the second sword energy. Without a nascent soul cultivation, I also cannot withstand the third. When my cultivation is high enough, I will definitely come back and take away this sword energy. Even if your cultivation is high enough, you still can't if you dare to take away my sword energy. I will fight you to the death. Dugu said with shame and anger. Why can't I take it away? The sword energy is placed here, isn't it for people to comprehend? That's right, but this is related to an important oath. If anyone takes away the sword energy, they will want marry me, these 4 words. Dugu couldn't open her mouth no matter what. It would be strange if a girl could open her mouth. Not everyone's skin was as thick as Ning Fan's and the old monster to talk about sexual matters. Forget it, I won't ask. Since you have your difficulties, I won't take the sword energy. Ning Fan no longer said anything and took out all kinds of dawn from his storage pouch. Primordial Scholar Dan, 10, 1 for 1 harmonious spirit vein. There were 5 bitter spirit pills. 1 pill could create 2 harmonious spirit immortal veins. There were 4 blood tempering pills. 1 pill could create 3 harmonious spirit meridians. Some of these dawn were gifts from the old monster to become a disciple, and some were taken from Elder Heavenly Beast. Ever since he reached the harmonious spirit realm, he had yet to merge his immortal veins. He only merged 1 vein with the fire and ice spirit power to lay the foundation for dual spirit cultivation, nothing more. The first realm of cultivation, vein opening, as the name implied, was to open the meridians in the body. The second realm of cultivation, harmonious spirit, as the name implied, was to open the meridians and integrate the spirit power. Integrating the fire spirit was a fire cultivator, and integrating the water spirit was a water cultivator. Harmonious spirit determined the future direction of cultivation. Of the 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth were the easiest to merge, and there were the most 5 spirit cultivators. Thunder, ice, darkness, poison, wind, and other spirit powers were rare and called heavenly spirit power. Normally, only those with great fortune could merge the heavenly spirit power and become a heavenly spirit cultivator. For example, Ning Fan, after having sex under the sky, he merged the ice spirit power. Ordinary cultivators could only merge 1 spirit power in their meridians, but evil veins and spirit veins could merge many kinds of spirit power. Today, Ning Fan was able to merge the fire and ice spirits, which was considered rare. According to Ning Fan's estimation, if he could merge all 100 immortal veins with the fire and ice spirit power, he would be able to break through and reach the intermediate harmonious spirit realm. Intermediate and early were only 1 word apart, but the difference in magical power was 2 times. Normally, an intermediate harmonious spirit cultivator killing an early harmonious spirit cultivator was not too difficult. Putting away his thoughts, Ning Fan took out a bottle of dawn, smiled, and swallowed them all. The yin-yang evil vein had a terrifying speed in refining dawn. Ordinary people wanting to refine so many dawn would take at least a few years. As for Ning Fan, his body was enough. After refining 10 mysterious scholar Dan, the spirit veins in his body reached 6. After refining 5 bitter spirit Dan, the spirit veins in his body reached 11. After refining 4 sacrificial blood Dan, the spirit veins in his body reached 17. Just after midnight, Ning Fan had completely refined all the dawn. The refining speed was twice as fast as he expected. And the number of spirit veins was half of what he expected. He pondered for a moment and seemed to understand something. After the yin-yang evil vein reached dual spirit, his speed of refining dawn increased, but the difficulty of harmonious spirit also increased. Dual spirit would require twice the amount of dawn. While he was contemplating, inside the grave, little Dugu's mouth was wide open with a bit of surprise. This little devil Ning's speed of refining dawn is so fast. I once heard father say that only a few immemorial evil veins have this kind of magical speed. I don't know which one this little devil Ning belongs to. Which one he belongs to. What does it have to do with Ning Fan naturally didn't know little Dugu's unspoken criticism. He calmed his mind and adjusted his magical power. With a wave of his palm, he took out a small golden fruit that looked like a dragon's eye. Dao fruit. Ning Fan decided to eat the Dao fruit to see how much his cultivation would increase. Seeing the Dao fruit, little girl Dugu was quite surprised. Dao fruit. This is something that can only be obtained by killing gold core old devils. This little devil Ning is only early harmonious spirit, can he kill gold core old devils? Ba ba ba, why am I meddling in other people's business? Dugu Dugu, you have to remember, this is a big scoundrel. If you provoke him, you will be like little Jiha, being tortured to tears and laughter every night. Thinking about little Jiha's cries throughout the night, little Dugu's hands became cold and her delicate body trembled. She couldn't imagine what kind of suffering little Jiha had to suffer to cry out so miserably. It must be very painful. After Ning Fan calmed his mind, his breath became even and he swallowed the Dao fruit. His immortal veins, under the power of the Dao fruit, quickly reached harmonious spirit. 18 veins, 19 veins, 30 veins, 40 veins, 50 veins, 100 veins. The moment his 100 veins reached harmonious spirit, Ning Fan's aura suddenly rose. The power of an intermediate harmonious spirit caused the wind and snow in the sky to scatter. The sky gradually brightened as he faced the morning sun. He suddenly stood up and breathed in the morning air, feeling refreshed. There were only two most comfortable things in this world. The first was dual cultivation, and the second was the comfortable feeling when his cultivation broke through. This is an intermediate harmonious spirit expert, very strong. Compared to last night, my magical power is twice as much. Dao fruit, this is a good thing. He closed his eyes and stood in the snow to calm his surging emotions. The heavenly beast school was destroyed, and his little brother was rescued. From today onwards, no matter if he cultivated the Tao, true, immortal, or evil, he would only pursue the path of the strong, nothing more. On that night, the old devil trampled the school under the moon. This powerful figure was engraved in Ning Fan's heart. Perhaps, it would become his lifelong pursuit. Calculating the time, it is about time to go to the Sinister Sparrow School. That heartless old devil seemed to have sold me to the Sinister Sparrow Schoolmaster as a son-in-law. Ning Fan shook his head. He truly did not have a good impression of Lan Mei, but if she was a bit more obedient, it was not impossible for him to pick up a wife for free. With a wave of his palm, a cold light like starlight flowed in his palm. This sword's name, Separation Slayer, will not be changed. However, this Separation Slayer has too many impurities and is not pure enough. This Si Wuxia's refining level is truly lacking. I will refine it again. In fact, it was not that Si Wuxia's level was low, but Ning Fan's vision was too high. Thinking about Si Wuxia, Ning Fan's expression turned cold as he turned around and walked towards the refining room. In the middle of the snowstorm, Ning Fan trod on the snow. After Ning Fan left, Dugu floated out from the grave. Her beautiful eyes gazed in the direction Ning Fan's left with a faint sense of loss for an unknown reason. Being a good person is a luxury for you, little devil Ning. If you don't cultivate the evil way, how good would it be? Royal father will surely like you. Chapter 29. There was the primordial era, the creation of the world and the creation of man. In the primordial era, there was iron known as star. There was a god in the void, and the broken bones turned into soldiers. Divine void had an emperor, undying and everlasting. Only after bowing to the emperor did one realize that his grandson's body had transformed into trillions of lives. His eyes were like the sun and moon, and his breath was like thunder. Shatter the ring and awaken the dream, the myriad realms fall. In the refining room of Si Fan Palace, Ning Fan was sitting cross-legged in front of the metallurgy furnace with the Separation Slayer in his hand. He was recalling an incomplete scripture from ancient chaos memories. The Tao scripture is rumored to be the creation of heaven and man creation scripture passed down by the immemorial immortal emperor. In ancient chaos fragmented memories, he could only remember such a small part. This short section of the Tao scripture recorded the history of the ancient star system, and one of the lines mentioned the ancient star system. Weapons and magic treasures forged by the primordial star system could only be controlled by fiend gods. Although there were only some star fragments in the Separation Slayer, in terms of value, it was hard to find a second one in the entire Rain world. The only thing that Ning Fan was not satisfied with was Si Wuxia's refining technique. It was too clumsy and had too many impurities, which suppressed the mysteries of the immemorial stars. Ning Fan's eyes were clear and limpid. When he opened and closed his eyes, they revealed the vicissitudes of life. His eyes were like torches, as if he wanted to see through all the flaws of Separation Slayer. The blade of Gungjin, the edge of silver thunder, the body of Kun steel. This sword was made from a lot of rare immortal ores. With the support of so many immortal ores, its grade had reached the high grade and it could be called a famous sword. However, in the end, it could only be considered a famous sword. It had lost the power of the ancient star system and was not fated to become a godly sword. The impurities must be removed. Apart from Gung metal, Thunder silver, and Earth steel, all the other immortal ores must be extracted. With a flick of his finger, the Separation Slayer sword turned into a cold light and flew into the cauldron. The flame in the cauldron was just an earth vein flame, so it wasn't very strong. It would take at least several months to forge a divine weapon like Separation Slayer. Ning Fan did not have the mood to wait for several months. He snorted and spat out the yin-yang flame from his mouth into the furnace to strengthen the earth fire. With the power of the yin-yang fire, it would take at most 3 days for the Separation Slayer to melt. With Ning Fan's current magical power, he could only maintain the yin-yang flame forging weapon for 4 hours at most before his magical power was depleted. He took out bottles of medicinal pills and placed them in front of him. There were vitality nurturing pills, spirit recovering pills, and youth returning pills. They were all medicinal pills that could recover one's spiritual energy. With this pill, once his magic power was depleted, he could quickly recover it. Time flowed like water. For 3 whole days, Ning Fan's spirit sense never stopped controlling the fire in the cauldron. Finally, the Separation Slayer sword slowly melted into molten iron. A wave of fire rushed out from the cauldron and rushed towards Ning Fan's face. The heat was unbearable and burnt his hair. The melting of the high-grade spirit treasure almost shattered the cauldron. Once the spirit power went out of control, the entire Si Fan Palace would be razed to the ground. Ning Fan's eyes froze. He had underestimated the danger of melting the Separation Slayer sword. He had to strip the immortal ores before the spiritual energy went berserk. Patting his storage pouch, Zhang Xian took out the Shadow Pursuit sword without any hesitation. Executing Conjuration Sword, he picked out the immortal ores one by one from the cauldron. Purple Soil Ash, Peel Off the Cold Dragon Jade was stripped off. Vermilion Core Iron Essence, stripped. Tearless Crystal, stripped off. As the immortal ores were stripped away, the grade of the Separation Slayer rapidly dropped from the peak of the middle grade, to the high grade, to the middle grade, to the low grade, to the peak of the middle grade, to the low grade, to the high grade, to the middle grade, to the low grade, to the low grade, to the high grade, to the middle grade, to the low grade. Ning Fan coldly shouted. If he let the Separation Slayer sword drop from a spirit treasure, then all his previous efforts would be in vain. He put away the Shadow Pursuit and bit his fingertip. He poured his blood essence into the cauldron and soaked the body of the sword, protecting the grade of the Separation Slayer sword. Using his blood as a guide, the grade of the Separation Slayer sword remained suspended at the low-grade primary. Seeing this, Ning Fan let out a sigh of relief. He wiped away the sweat on his forehead and slightly smiled. The rest was easy. He took a few dawn and waited for his magic power to be replenished. Ning Fan rolled up his sleeve and reversed the direction of the cauldron. The temperature of the fire suddenly decreased, and the Separation Slayer sword slowly revealed its sword form. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the sound of a sword came from the cauldron. Ning Fan patted the cauldron's lid and a ray of starlight flew out from the cauldron and circled around Ning Fan's body. The specks of starlight were crystal clear like water, light like cicadas' wings, and cold like an icy rainbow. It was very beautiful. Ning Fan pointed at the starlight and it turned into a 3 feet long sword and fell into his palm. It was still hot from the fire. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The yin-yang flame in the cauldron was withdrawn and extinguished. Ning Fan carefully looked at the Separation Slayer sword and revealed a satisfied expression. At this moment, the Separation Slayer sword, even though it was only a low-grade primary spirit treasure, had regained its ability to advance. Before, when the Separation Slayer sword flew, it was only a cold light without any starlight. The reason was because there were too many impurities that hindered the effectiveness of the immemorial stars. But at this moment, this starlight sword, even though its grade was still low, was like a star. One day, it would become a world-shaking divine weapon that could slay both gods and devils. Ning Fan held the sword and slashed in the air. He cut a wound on his arm and used his blood as a sacrifice to the sword. The blade was dyed with blood, announcing the official rebirth of the Separation Slayer sword. It once again recognized Ning Fan as its master. The moment the sword's shadow was released, the entire sky above Seven Apricot City was filled with sword lights. It was clearly daytime, but within 100 miles, one could see the bright starlight. Such a scene shocked countless people, including the 7 Apricot clans, Wu Yi, Mo Fang, Yuqi who was feeding the pigs, Situ who was practicing the sword, and Nangong who was deducing the compass. Countless people came out of the guest house and looked at the sky with endless surprise. The appearance of stars in daytime, the birth of a divine weapon. This rumor was only an ancient legend. Who would have thought that the people of 7 Apricot City would be fortunate enough to witness this scene? The appearance of stars in daytime, the birth of a divine weapon. Could it be that the old monster of the Fang clan created another divine weapon-level magical treasure? How is this possible? I don't think so. Perhaps the spirit augmentation master of the Mo clan has forged a new set of spirit equipment, or perhaps he has added an inconceivable divine ability to a magical treasure. Countless people were speculating about the reason for the appearance of this scene, but it only lasted for 10 breaths of time before disappearing in the sky. No one knew who created a divine weapon. Fan Palace's Dan Master, the old monster, who was at a critical moment in his Dan refinement, suddenly raised his head as if he had sensed something. Little Ning, you've surprised me again. Immemorial divine weapon. You've even refined such an item. If you're able to ascend to the 4 heavens immortal world in the future, you might be able to compete with countless descendants of the fiend gods and gods. The old monster shook his head and sighed with emotion. While he was distracted, the alchemy cauldron rumbled again. It emitted smoke and exploded. 4th Revolution Dan, your father's 4th Revolution Dan, just a bit more and I can refine it. Your father doesn't want to live anymore, I don't want to live anymore. This was the old monster's memorable 61st cauldron explosion outside the refining room. Ning Fan pushed open the door with a starlight sword shadow surrounding his body. A cold murderous aura came from the sword shadow. Within 3 zhang of Ning Fan, all the falling snowflakes were cut in half by the sword energy. Such a sharp sword aura. With just this sword, without using magical power, Ning Fan could kill a 10th level vein opening cultivator with just one sword. And with this sword's transforming sword into fire, Ning Fan believed that no one in the late harmonious spirit realm would be able to block his sword. Unless they were peak harmonious spirit. He opened his mouth and sucked the starlight sword shadow into his stomach, storing it in his dantian and relying on the yin-yang locket. Under the nourishment of the evil vein magical power, Separation Slayer was slowly transforming at an undetectable speed. There were 2 ways to advance an immemorial divine weapon. The first was to use magical power to refine and slowly advance. The second was to use the sword to kill and advance with blood. Putting the sword back into his body, Ning Fan let out a long sigh. He was still not satisfied and decided to use another method to quickly increase the power of Separation Slayer. Spirit Attachment. Add a divine ability to Separation Slayer. Add Body Lock, and when the sword was unleashed, it would make the enemy slow for a moment. Add Shadow Pursuit, and Separation Slayer would have a divine ability to chase after the enemy. Add Swift Wind, and it would increase the speed of Separation Slayer. Spirit Attachment would not affect the advancement of Separation Slayer, on the contrary, it would make the sword even more perfect. But unfortunately, Ning Fan did not know Spirit Attachment. Spirit Attachment was a secondary profession created by the future cultivation world and was not mentioned in the ancient Chaos Grand Emperor's memories. Even though Ning Fan did not know Spirit Attachment, in 7 Apricot City, there was a high-rank Spirit Attachment Master. 7 Apricot City had a total of 7 forces. Among them, the 3 Black Demon armies were in charge of fighting, and the 7 Apricot 4 clans were in charge of logistics. 7 Apricot 4 clans, Wu, Yi, Mo, and Fang, each had their own specialty. Wu clan's ancestor, Wu Lan, was called Lan Ji, and was a Dan rank formation master. Yi clan's ancestor, Yi Huan, was called Huan Yunma, and was a 3 clouds immortal cloud master. Fang clan's ancestor, Fang Nua, was called Fang Bao Nua, and was a Dan treasure rank refiner. In his entire life, he was most proud of his magical treasure, which was at the peak of intermediate rank, and was regarded as a treasure by a gold core old devil. And the last of the 4 clans, Mo clan's ancestor, Mo Rushue, was called Ink Fairy. She was most proficient in refining spirit equipment and attaching spirits to magical treasures. She was a Dan treasure rank Spirit Attachment Master. The old evil Dan shattering cauldron's body-fixing divine ability was a rare divine ability, and it was precisely this Mo Rushue's spirit attaching. In the 4 heavens and 9 worlds, spirit attachment masters were much rarer than Dan masters and blacksmiths. Rumor has it that the requirements to become a spirit attachment master were extremely harsh, but no one knew the specifics. Ning Fan slightly smiled. His Separation Slayer had gotten rid of the impurities, so he could go to the Mo clan and find Mo Rushue to add a divine ability to his Separation Slayer. If he could do this, his battle power would increase a bit. He returned to his room, and after spending some time with Jiha, he left Si Fan Palace and went straight to the Mo clan in southern 7 Apricot City. At this moment, in the Mo clan of 7 Apricot, hundreds of guards were standing guard outside the door. Not only were there guards from the Mo clan, but there were also guards from the Wu clan, Fang clan, and Yi clan. The 4 clan lords gathered in the Mo clan's main hall, and each of them had a serious expression. Among them was the Mo clan's ancestor, Mo Rushue. She was a woman dressed in black that was over 300 years old, but still had a charming appearance. Her beautiful eyes coldly stared at the 4 people standing proudly in the main hall. Elder Lin, young Lord Lan, revered Bai's son Bai Bai, and revered Hei's disciple Yen Jue Yun Haha, the 4 of you have come to visit my Mo clan of 7 Apricot. Mo Rushue, I won't talk nonsense with you. Today, this Yan's purpose is only for the soul-burning spirit attachment iron. The black-robed young man named Yen Jueyun had a cold expression and looked down on everyone. Chapter 30. In the main hall of the Mo family, Yen Jueyun was playing with a black flying dagger. He looked coldly at the 4 patriarchs and threatened them. This flying knife is called Night Chaser, and it's my natal magic treasure. It's at the beginning of the middle grade, and it's forged from mysterious crystal and northern water. It only requires a single slash to kill someone of the same level. Mo Rushue, I came to 7 Apricot City just to buy your Mo clan spirit augmentation spirit iron, soul burning. I hope you won't disappoint me. Young Master Yen must be joking. The soul burning spirit iron is a void grade spirit iron. It is almost a legendary item in the Rain Immortal world. My Mo clan has been a spirit augmentation master for generations, but we have never been fortunate enough to obtain such a divine material. Mo Rushue's beautiful eyes contained a smile. Her expression was full of smiles, but her heart was secretly shocked. I will use 3 bottles of Spirit Ascension pills and 10,000 immortal jade to exchange for this metal. Yan Zhuiyun said lightly. Hiss. As soon as he finished speaking, the hall of the Mo clan instantly became deathly silent. The rising spirit Dan was required for an intermediate harmonious spirit cultivator to break through to the late harmonious spirit realm. Because one of the ingredients was scarce, it was extremely precious. When a cultivator stepped into the harmonious spirit realm and broke through to the intermediate stage, they needed to have a harmonious spirit immortal vein. When breaking through to the late stage, they needed to have a spirit ascension to increase their spiritual energy. To break through to the peak, he needed to consolidate his spirit and condense his spirit energy into a solid golden core. Once the Dan was formed, it meant that the cultivator had broken through the harmonious spirit realm and stepped into the gold core realm. A rising spirit pill could raise the spirit of an immortal vein. There were about 60 pills in the 3 bottles. With so many pills, it could save at least 60 years of cultivation. It would be a lie if the 4 harmonious spirit family masters said that they were not tempted. As for the 10,000 immortal jades, it was practically the total wealth of the entire clan. However, Mo Rushue gritted her teeth and shook her head coldly. The soul-burning spirit iron did exist, but it did not belong to the Mo family. It was not even owned by the 4 clans. Instead, it was placed in the Mo family by the old devil before his cultivation was crippled. This item was rare and priceless. If it was spread, the entire Rain world would be in an uproar. Only a few people in Sinister Sparrow sect knew about this. Who would have thought that today, the Sinister Sparrow sect would come to ask for it? Mo Rushue let out a faint sigh. This iron belonged to the old devil, how could she dare to touch it? Not to mention, being threatened like this in the 7 Apricot land was a great loss of face. The Mo family does not have such an item. I'm sorry, young Master Yen, please return. She tried her best to smile calmly, but Yan Zhuiyun could see a trace of wavering in her struggle. The Mo clan indeed had the soul-burning spiritual iron. As long as I can get this item, Yan Zhuiyun's eyes turned cold. He released his intermediate harmonious spirit magical power. The entire hall was blown by the strong wind. The house was on the verge of collapse. The 4 patriarchs' faces turned pale. Hand over the iron, or else Mo clan will see blood today. Yan Zhuiyun, you dare to cause trouble in 7 Apricot City. Aren't you afraid of angering City Lord Han? Mo Rushue covered her heaving chest as her beautiful face turned pale. Giving you the Spirit Ascension pill and the Immortal Jade is already giving Master Alchemist Han enough face. He's just a late harmonious spirit cultivator. If it wasn't for his excellent alchemy skills, I might not even give him face. According to the fiendish cultivator's way of doing things, I can just snatch whatever I want. Yan Zhuiyun's words were arrogant. His master was also one of the 4 demon sovereigns, and he was not on good terms with the old devil. Naturally, he would not show mercy to the old devil. Elder Lin hastily coughed and signaled to Yan Zhuiyun with his eyes. As for Lan Mei, she bit her lips and hesitated if she should open her mouth to persuade him. Only Bai Bai didn't think that Yan Zhuiyun's actions were inappropriate. Yan Zhuiyun's arrogant words caused the 4 patriarchs' expressions to change and their eyes to be filled with anger. If it wasn't for the old devil's strict order that the Sinister Sparrow sect was his benefactor, he absolutely could not make a move against the people of Sinister Sparrow sect. With the unyielding nature of the 4 patriarchs, how could they lower their heads to a mere Yan Zhuiyun? Before the 4 of them could say anything, a light sneer came from outside the hall. Hee, Brother Yen, is it? Well said, well done. Fiendish cultivator's way, as in fiendish cultivator, if you want something, just snatch it, there is no need to show mercy. This voice instantly attracted the gazes of everyone in the hall. White clothes, black cloak, and black hair, a young man with an extraordinary bearing slowly walked into the hall. Mo Rushue and the other 3 patriarchs recognized the young man's identity and all of them had unhappy expressions. This young man was without a doubt the new disciple of the old devil, the 7 Apricot young lord, Ning Fan. The four clans didn't know that Ning Fan had broken through to harmonious spirit and didn't know of Ning Fan's impressive achievements. They only thought of Ning Fan as a 5th-level vein opening junior. They didn't have a good impression of Ning Fan, and when they saw Ning Fan casually walk in and speak up for an outsider, saying that it was right for the other party to snatch something, the four patriarchs' expressions sank. This Ning Fan coming to the Mo clan, just who was he helping? Young lord, what do you mean by that? Yi Huan slammed the table and stood up with a slightly accusatory tone. He used his early harmonious spirit pressure to suppress Ning Fan. But that pressure was like a gentle breeze, how could it shake Ning Fan in the slightest? Ning Fan didn't answer Yi Huan's question, but Yi Huan was secretly frightened. Ning Fan could calmly resist his pressure, so he was at least a harmonious spirit expert immediately. Ning Fan stepped on an icy light and turned into an icy rainbow. In the blink of an eye, his figure disappeared without a trace. In the hall, the 7 harmonious spirit experts couldn't see through Ning Fan's light. The second level of the snow treading art was comparable to a gold core old devil's movement technique. The icy light flashed, and Ning Fan lightly appeared in front of the Mo clan's patriarch. He playfully smiled, everyone, don't worry. With me, Ning Fan, here, no one will dare to cause trouble in Master's City. And in his hand, there was an extra storage pouch. It was originally tied to Yan Zhuiyin's waist. Inside were 3 bottles of Rising Spirit Dan, 10,000 immortal jades, and even Yan Zhuiyin's prideful natal magical treasure, the night-chasing flying dagger. An icy light took away Yan Zhuiyin's storage pouch. If he wanted to kill Yan Zhuiyin, it would be just as easy. Young lord, you are. Mo Rushue and the other 3 patriarchs could see that Ning Fan was siding with 7 Apricot. That is this young lord's storage pouch. Return the storage pouch, or else. Yan Zhuiyin's eyes were filled with dread, and his threatening tone imperceptibly became a lot softer. Or else, what can you do to me? You dared to cause trouble in 7 Apricot, so what's wrong with this young lord stealing your storage pouch? According to the evil cultivator's method, if I like your storage pouch, I can just take it. Even if I want to kill you, I don't need any reason, I can just kill you. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. His intermediate harmonious spirit magical power was released without reservation, not any weaker than Yan Zhuiyin. Everyone present, as long as they knew Ning Fan's true strength, had a great change in expression. They knew that a few months ago, when Ning Fan was brought back to 7 Apricot by the old monster, he was only a 1st-level vein opening cultivation. When he presided over the Dao fruit auction, he was only a 5th-level vein opening. In just a few short months, not only did he break through to harmonious spirit, he even reached intermediate harmonious spirit. This cultivation speed was simply unheard of. Who are you? Yan Zhuiyin was shocked. Since when did Ning Fan appear among the intermediate harmonious spirit experts in Yu country? As for the white-robed young master Bai, at this moment, his heart was like a raging storm. He once said that he wanted to teach Ning Fan a lesson, but he didn't expect that Ning Fan's true cultivation was far above his. At this moment, even if he had the guts, he wouldn't dare to make a move against Ning Fan. As for Lan Mei, she clenched her fists and found it hard to calm her heart. Can't see through him, she simply couldn't see through Ning Fan, a 17-year-old intermediate harmonious spirit. Even the Rain World's godly king would not have such a cultivation speed. But what she couldn't understand the most was Ning Fan's attitude towards her. Her appearance could be considered peerless, and there were many young masters pursuing her, but Ning Fan didn't even look at her once since he entered the door. Ning Fan, return the storage pouch to Senior Yan, then we will leave 7 Apricot. She bit her lips and lightly said. Why? Ning Fan raised his eyebrows. He really didn't have a good impression of Lan Mei. In the end, you are still a member of my sinister Sparrow School, and Senior Yan will soon be promoted to an elder of the school. You should give him some face so that we can meet again in the future. I'm doing this for your own good. Lan Mei herself didn't know what she was saying. Mercy? I didn't slash him with my sword, this is already mercy. Within 3 breaths, get out of the Mo clan, or else, die. The same words came out of Ning Fan's mouth, but the power was thousands of times stronger than Yan Jueyun's. This sentence carried the murderous intent of an immortal emperor, and as Ning Fan's cultivation increased, he destroyed the Heaven Beast School and took the lives of millions. This murderous intent became more and more shocking. Whether it was Elder Lin, Lan Mei, or even the arrogant Yan Jueyun and Bai Bai, they were all trembling under this murderous intent. Even the Sinister Sparrow schoolmaster and the 4 venerables of Sinister Sparrow did not have such murderous intent. Yan Jueyun slowly took a step back and had a feeling of dread. The Ning Fan in front of him was the same as him, intermediate harmonious spirit, but he only needed 1 sword to kill him. Yan Jueyun was arrogant and wild his entire life, but he was not a fool. On the contrary, he believed in his intuition. Brother Ning, this matter was this Yan's recklessness. He cupped his fists and almost immediately turned into a ray of light, rushing out of the Mo clan. He could feel that if he was 1 step slower, his life would no longer belong to him. This Yan Jueyun was a true evil cultivator. He dared to be arrogant and dared to kill, so he would not throw away his life for some meaningless face. Seeing that Yan Jueyun was scared away by Ning Fan's words, Lan Mei and Bai Bai were in disbelief. Yan Jueyun was naturally arrogant. Even in front of the sect elders, he would not give them any face. He even dared to behave atrociously in the old monster's territory, but this madman was scared away by Ning Fan. You 3, are you not going to scram together? Ning Fan sneered. Humph. Bai Bai's expression was uncertain. He gritted his teeth and left in a huff. Lan Mei had a complicated expression. Before she came to 7 Apricot City, she was most afraid that Ning Fan would use the title of her fiancé to pester her. But now, she understood that in Ning Fan's eyes, she was nothing. She sighed and turned to leave. Elder Lin, on the other hand, looked at Ning Fan with a profound gaze and shook his head with emotion. Han Yuanji, you have accepted a good disciple. After Elder Lin left, the originally tense Mo clan's main hall was now filled with a sigh of relief. Everyone present stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. Intermediate harmonious spirit in less than half a year. A murderous intent scared away a harmonious spirit. Rumor has it that this person was not a low-rank Dan master with extraordinary eyesight. From now on, no one in the 7 Apricot 4 clans would refuse to obey Ning Fan. The 7 forces of the 7 Apricot City were faintly grasped in Ning Fan's palm. Young master, what brings you here today? If there is anything this subordinate can help with, please don't hesitate to tell me. Mo Rushue stood up and gracefully bowed, extremely respectful. I am here to augment the spirit of the magic treasure. Speaking of which, what is that soul-burning spirit iron? From Yan Jueyun's tone, it seems to be extraordinary. With these words, Mo Rushue's originally respectful smile turned into a bitter one. It was as if the wolf had just left and the tiger had come. Why did this 7 Apricot young master also have designs on the soul-burning spirit iron? He recommended the new book by his good friend, the man in black of the West Sea, Controlling Thunder Punishment. It was quite interesting. Category, Game Otherworld, Book ID, 2955155. The young man obtained the Lightning Punishment ranking and wielded the Lightning Punishment Heavenly Tribulation, causing countless demons to tremble in fear upon hearing his name. He had an old grandpa with him, a little golden man in his sea of consciousness, a lightning punishment roll in his hand, and a cute girl in his arms. Killing an old monster gave him a lot of merit. Lin Yu's thunderous life began just like that. Chapter 31. If they were dissatisfied with Ning Fan before, they were no longer dissatisfied with him at this moment. At the table, Ning Fan had an easygoing smile and a good way of talking, causing the 2 women, Wu Lan and Mo Rushue, to reveal a strange light in their eyes. However, the 2 old men, Yi Huan and Fang Nua, were extremely dissatisfied with Ning Fan. Ning Fan's alcohol tolerance was too poor. After 2 cups of wine, he was even staggering while walking. As an evil cultivator, having a poor alcohol tolerance was too shameful. Sure enough, no one was perfect. The moonlight entered the house and the banquet ended. The 3 clan masters all took their leave, leaving only Mo Rushue, who was drinking a cup of wine, and the unconscious Ning Fan, who was lying on the table. Mo Rushue pursed her red lips and suddenly smiled. Everyone is gone. The dignified 7-apricot young lord is still pretending to be drunk in this subordinate's home? Following Mo Rushue's words, the originally drunk Ning Fan's eyes lit up and he used his magical power to force out the smell of alcohol from his body. He laughed and said, "Sorry for the embarrassment. Ning Fan's alcohol tolerance is too weak. If I don't pretend to be drunk, I'm afraid I won't be able to get down to business. Goddess Mo, now can you tell me about the soul-burning spirit iron? Young lord really wants that soul-burning spirit iron? It is not necessary, I just want to attach a spirit to a magical treasure. If the clan master finds it difficult, I can attach other magical powers." Ning Fan opened his mouth and a starlight flew out, turning into a crystal-clear longsword in his hand. It was Separation Slayer and he handed it over to Mo Rushue. "This is the sword. Goddess Mo, please help me decide what kind of magical power is the most suitable for this sword. Regarding spirit attachment, I don't know anything." Mo Rushue took the Separation Slayer and did not care at first. She was a Dan treasure-level spirit attachment master after all. Refining mysterious gold spirit equipment was not a difficult matter. She could see with a glance that this sword was only a low-rank initial rank. She was slightly displeased and thought, if the dignified soul-burning spirit iron was attached to a low-rank magical treasure, wouldn't it be burying the name of soul-burning? But after taking the sword, Mo Rushue was first surprised. This sword was so light. It was not that this sword was weightless, but when held in the hand, one could become one with the sword as if it was their own arm, so they naturally did not feel its weight. Unity of man and sword. The person who refined this sword is far superior to me, she sincerely praised it, no longer daring to look down on the Separation Slayer's sword, and carefully sized it up. It was as bright as the stars, as cold as the autumn waters, as thin as a cicada's wings, and as sharp as a flying dragon. This sword was obviously only a low-grade magical treasure, but the feeling it gave Mo Rushue was indescribable with the word shock. Sometimes she frowned, sometimes her red lips were slightly open, sometimes she was happy, sometimes she was confused, sometimes she was surprised. It was as if all the expressions in her life were used on her pretty face. Her beautiful eyes stared at the eye-catching starlight on the sword. The shock in her heart grew stronger and stronger. This is. Young lord, may I ask if you know the origin of this sword? This sword was forged by me. How could I not know about it? Ning Fan picked up his chopsticks and casually ate the leftovers on the table. He did not seem to dislike it at all. He had been poor all his life, and in his most difficult times, he had even fought with pigs and dogs for food, so why would he care about leftovers? What, this sword was forged by the young master? Mo Rushue's beautiful expression changed into one of astonishment. She never would have thought that the refining grandmaster she admired was actually the young lord in front of her. Young lord, do you know that this sword contains a fragment of the immemorial stars? Of course I know. I am my master's disciple and have the immemorial evil vein, so I am able to control this immemorial godly weapon. So young lord knows. It seems like yesterday's stars in daytime was triggered by young lord. An immemorial godly weapon. I didn't think that in this lifetime, I would have the fortune to see one. Young lord truly wants to attach your spirit to this sword. Mo Rushue's expression was somewhat eager to give it a try. To be able to attach their spirit to an immemorial godly weapon, what kind of honor was this for a spirit augmentation master? That's right. What kind of divine ability to attach is up to Fairy Mo's decision. Ning Fan slightly smiled. Giving Mo Rushue the right to decide was a sign of respect for a spirit augmentation master. AI. An immemorial godly weapon, a peerless sword that can advance in rank. From my heart, I am extremely willing to attach the soul-burning divine ability to young lord. The soul-burning divine ability is a void-rank divine ability. It is a good item that only void fragmentation old devils have the qualifications to attach their spirit to. Using it on this sword is absolutely not a waste. With my pill treasure spirit augmentation level, I can only attach one divine ability. If I attach other divine abilities without soul burning, then it would be a bit of a waste. Mo Rushue was talking to herself, as if she was having a hard time choosing. Ning Fan listened with a face full of doubt. His understanding of the spirit augmentation technique was almost non-existent. From Mo Rushue's words, it seemed that a magical treasure could attach several divine abilities, but her level was not high enough, so she could only attach one. From Mo Rushue's words, to attach the spirit to a magical treasure, one needed spirit iron. Ning Fan did not know what spirit iron was, but it did not hinder his understanding. It must be some kind of special immortal ore, and it was indispensable during spirit augmentation. The soul-burning spirit iron was called a void-rank spirit iron, so one could imagine how precious it was. Ning Fan had the immortal emperor's memories, so his eyesight was amazing. He could see that Mo Rushue's expression had a difficult expression, as if she had some difficulties and could not attach the soul-burning divine ability to the separation slayer. If Goddess Mo has difficulties, then don't attach the soul-burning divine ability. Ning Fan shook his head and laughed. He actually did not care much about the spirit augmentation divine ability. Just attaching one was better than nothing. There are some difficulties. Firstly, the soul-burning spiritual iron belongs to City Lord Han. If I may be so bold to ask, young master, do you have the right to use it? Yes, I do. Master and I have a friendship of life and death. If I use a piece of his spirit iron, he will make a big fuss, but he won't really get angry. Ning Fan shook his head with a smile. He could imagine that if the old monster knew that he used his soul-burning spirit iron, he would certainly fly into a rage and shout, "I suffered a loss." But the old monster was only saying it and would not really get angry. The old monster was very generous to him. Is that so? Young Lord and City Lord seemed to get along very well. Mo Rushue gave Ning Fan a meaningful glance. According to what she knew, the old monster had accepted countless disciples, and even though he treated all of them well, he had never treated any of them as well as Ning Fan. It seemed like the two's personalities were very compatible. If Mo Rushue knew that Ning Fan and the old monster worked together to destroy the Heavenly Beast School and were the main culprits that countless old monsters of the Rain Immortal World were looking for, she would not have asked this question. During the battle of the Heavenly Beast School, Ning Fan and the old monster entrusted their lives to each other. Their relationship could be said to be master and disciple, but it could also be said to be friends despite the difference in age. The old monster was very casual, and Ning Fan was also very carefree. Mo Rushue faintly sighed. She sighed because of the old monster's tragic fate. The old monster accepted countless disciples in his life, but each disciple would die a violent death, and the only disciple that did not die became the pain of the old monster's life. Such an old monster accepted Ning Fan as a disciple and regarded him as his own. It was a rare fate for Ning Fan and the old monster. Since young lord has the confidence to use this iron, concubine will not say anything else. Then concubine will recommend young lord to attach the soul-burning divine ability to this sword. But there is still one problem. Oh. What other difficulties do you have? Just say it. Although my knowledge of spirit augmentation is limited, my experience in other aspects is not bad. Perhaps I can help Goddess Mo solve this problem. The other problem is that the soul-burning spirit iron has been contaminated by a strange evil, or the effect of the spirit augmentation will be greatly reduced. I will have to inform young lord about this in advance. Mo Rushue's eyebrows were black and apologetic. As a spirit augmentation master, attaching a flawed divine ability to a guest was a loss of reputation. Oh. The soul-burning spirit iron has been contaminated by the evil ore. Interesting goddess Mo, are you willing to take me to take a look at the soul-burning spirit iron? Perhaps I have the confidence to wash this iron clean. If this is the case, then concubine will definitely attach the most perfect divine ability to young lord. Mo Rushue happily stood up with a hint of fanaticism in her beautiful eyes. She didn't have the slightest bit of patience and immediately wanted to take Ning Fan to see the spirit iron despite the dark sky. This made Ning Fan quite speechless. Famous spirit augmentation masters and blacksmiths were all madmen when it came to refining treasures. In the Mo clan's treasure room, Mo Rushue activated an unknown mechanism and a deep tunnel suddenly appeared on the ground. No one knew where it led to. Ning Fan followed Mo Rushue down the tunnel and was probably 1,000 zhang deep underground. In the deepest part, there was a 3 zhang square room made of spirit-breaking silver. This kind of immortal ore was not only hard, but it also had the effect of shielding divine sense. It was extremely precious, but Ning Fan didn't expect it to be made into a secret room by Mo Rushue. Inside the secret room, there was nothing but a jade table at the center. On the table was a half-red and half-black iron ore. The red half carried a slight heat. Ning Fan used his divine sense to sense it, but because he was careless, a trace of his divine sense was burned away by the heat. If Ning Fan didn't withdraw his divine sense in time, he would have been injured. This is the soul-burning spirit iron. I didn't expect it to be able to burn divine sense. If this divine ability was attached to a sword, wouldn't it be able to cut off the enemy's divine sense with a single slash? A void-rank divine ability really can't be underestimated. Ning Fan's gaze once again fell on the black ore. This time, he revealed an extremely puzzled expression. It was familiar yet strange at the same time. He couldn't think of anything for a moment. Mo Rushue respectfully stood at the side and didn't dare to disturb Ning Fan's thoughts. A moment later, Ning Fan approached the jade table and touched the black ore with an uncertain expression. His expression didn't change, but his heart was in turmoil. Chapter 32. Ning Fan touched the slightly hot immortal ore and his heart gradually calmed down. Since he unexpectedly obtained this joyous union iron, he naturally needed to refine the cauldron ring in the future. Unfortunately, he didn't have a cauldron yet. Ning Fan shook his head and gathered his thoughts. The yin-yang flame came out from his finger and entered the immortal ore. It was not easy to separate the two immortal ores when they fused together. All things were born from yin and yang. The yin-yang flame's power was still weak, but with Ning Fan's immortal emperor-level fire control experience, he used the yin-yang black evil flame to calcine the joyous union iron. He used the yin-yang flame's coldness to cool the spirit iron. The joyous union iron slowly melted into molten iron while the spirit iron remained as cold as ever. When the joyous union iron completely melted, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and took the spirit iron into his hand. At the same time, he waved his palm and activated the ice spirit power in his immortal vein to condense the joyous union iron. He patted his storage pouch and kept the joyous union iron before calmly handing it to Mo Rushue. The whole process didn't take more than half an hour. Ning Fan's fire control technique almost made Mo Rushue dumbfounded. Her sleeves covered half of her face, but her red lips were slightly opened with disbelief. Just by observing Ning Fan's fire control process, Mo Rushue felt that her Tao of refinement had taken a big step forward. Young lord's talent is extraordinary, this concubine admires it. She took the spirit iron and saw that there was no trace of the evil ore's contamination. Then, I will have to trouble Goddess Mo to help me attach my spirit. The two returned to the ground and went straight to the Mo clan's refinement room. The entire process lasted for a day. Ning Fan watched from start to finish. This was the first time he had a clear understanding of spirit attachment. The so-called spirit attachment was to melt the spirit iron and extract the essence of the divine ability. Then, it would use special formation runes to engrave it on a magical treasure. Even if it was the same type of spirit iron, once the magical treasure was slightly different, the formation runes would be thousands of miles apart. Ning Fan originally wanted to secretly learn the spirit attachment technique from the immortal emperor's memories, but in the end, he had no choice but to give up on this idea. The Tao of spirit attachment was not easier than the Tao of formations. If he wanted to raise his spiritual attachment to the level of ink like water, it would take at least a few decades. Ning Fan didn't have that much time to study the spirit attachment technique. If he needed it, he would go find a spirit augmentation master. When Mo Rushue returned the Separation Slayer's sword to Ning Fan, the reluctance in her beautiful eyes made Ning Fan feel that it was a sin for him to take the sword away. "Young lord, you must treat this sword well." Mo Rushue looked at Ning Fan pitifully and pleaded with a soft voice. I will. Ning Fan's eyes fell on the Separation Slayer. Its appearance did not change much. There was still a trace of starlight circling around its body, but there was an additional trace of heat on the edge of the sword. This blazing heat had a trace of soul-burning effect. As the grade of the Separation Slayer increased, its power would increase as well. After slashing a few times in the air, Ning Fan revealed a satisfied smile. He opened his mouth and swallowed the Starlight Sword shadow into his dantian. Then, he bid farewell and left. The Separation Slayer's spirit attachment was completed. Ning Fan's first magical treasure since he started cultivating the evil Tao had finally taken shape. Before going to Sinister Sparrow Sect, there were only two things left to do. Refining the Jade Royal Dan, as well as refining Si Wuxia into a puppet. The alchemy room was currently occupied by the old monster. Cauldrons exploded again and again, causing Ning Fan to have no place to refine the Jade Royal Dan. Helplessly, he had to first solve Si Wuxia's matter. Currently, Si Wuxia's gold core was shattered by Ning Fan and his cultivation was destroyed. He was imprisoned in the 7-apricot ice prison and was strictly guarded. The guards of the ice prison were evil cultivators from the ice guards. When they saw Ning Fan's arrival, they were all in awe. This was naturally Nangong's order. Subordinate Wang Ling greets young lord. The chief guard of the ice prison was named Wang Ling. He was a 10th level vein opening evil cultivator. During the Dao fruit auction, he was responsible for maintaining the security of the auction house. He had personally witnessed Ning Fan's murderous aura intimidating the group of evil cultivators. His heart was filled with admiration for Ning Fan. I want to go to the 9-layered ice prison to see that person. The 9-layered ice prison was the lowest level of the ice prison. It was used to imprison the most important criminal, Heaven Separation Sect Master Si Wuxia. However, Ning Fan did not reveal this person's name. Besides the old monster and the 3 commanders of the Black Deity Army, no one knew that the person imprisoned in the 9-layered ice prison was the most powerful evil cultivator in Yu country. Commander Nangong has ordered that young lord can see this person at any time. However, young lord, you have to take it easy. The 9-layered ice prison is extremely cold. Don't freeze when you are in love. Wang Ling winked at Ning Fan and revealed a smile that only men would understand. This smile made Ning Fan frown. He faintly felt that there was something wrong with Wang Ling's words. He was a transvestite. What kind of love was there between him and Si Wuxia? He shook his head and did not put it in his heart. Ning Fan took the prison key and entered the ice prison alone. He went straight to the 9-layered ice prison and did not let Wang Ling follow. The first layer of the ice prison was used to imprison first-level vein opening cultivators. He went all the way to the 8-layered ice prison, which was already 1,000 zhang underground. Those below harmonious spirits simply could not withstand the cold air in this place. Within the 8-layered ice prison, there were a few empty ice prisons with a few zombies bound by chains. Perhaps they were criminals that had frozen to death here for countless years. The 9th layered ice prison only had one ice prison. Ning Fan opened the ice door and saw a disheveled criminal bound by ice chains. His head was drooping as if he was unconscious. "Si Wuxia, if you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place?" Ning Fan coldly said. "Ha, Ning Fan, did you come here to kill me? Do you dare?" Si Wuxia didn't raise his head. His feminine voice carried a hint of mockery. "Who is your true body in the four heavens immortal world?" "I said it, do you recognize me?" "You are just an ant from the lower realms." He did not know why, but today, Si Wuxia gave Ning Fan an unusual feeling. In the immortal emperor's memories, there was a puppet technique that could erase the memories and retain the original body's intelligence. This technique could then refine the other party into one's own puppet, named the spirit puppet art. Ning Fan slowly approached Si Wuxia. He was ready to use the spirit puppet art to deal with Si Wuxia. However, the closer he got, the more uneasy he felt. He always felt that there was something that he had missed from the beginning. The uneasiness continued. Ning Fan quietly summoned the separation slayer and hid it in his sleeve. Only then did the uneasiness lessen a little. Ning Fan stopped 3 feet away. At this distance, he could feel a vast pressure from Si Wuxia's body. Almost without hesitation, he immediately leaped back. Si Wuxia lightly exclaimed. She didn't expect Ning Fan to be so cautious. She suddenly raised her head and revealed a pure and beautiful face of a woman. Her lips were like rouge and her eyebrows were picturesque. She was like a green lotus that just bloomed, dignified and inviolable. However, her gentle and beautiful eyes carried a fierce murderous intent. A late gold core aura dispersed from Si Wuxia's body. Her body was locked, but her spirit sense turned into invisible flying swords that pierced Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. Ning Fan's expression slightly changed. If his sea of consciousness was destroyed by the spirit sense flying swords, he would turn into an idiot in the blink of an eye. This Si Wuxia, such a deep scheming and ruthless method. She actually hid such a trick. He clearly destroyed her gold core and crippled her cultivation, but he didn't expect that she was still hiding her cultivation and even appeared in the body of a woman. What is going on? A woman's appearance, aura, and body were definitely not something that could be faked. Ning Fan's mind raced and in a flash, he thought of the key. He seemed to have realized something and his expression turned cold. With Separation Slayer in his hand, the Starlight Sword danced like a chaotic plum blossom, trying to destroy the spirit sense flying swords. This action was only met with Si Wuxia's gentle sneer. An immemorial divine weapon, huh? Unfortunately, it is only a low-rank divine weapon. A low-rank divine weapon simply cannot cut my spirit sense. Impossible. Before she could finish speaking, she suddenly let out a scream. Her divine sense was caught off guard and was cut by the Separation Slayer. Her divine sense was also burned by the soul-burning power of the Separation Slayer. Her gentle and beautiful face suddenly turned pale and her aura weakened. She looked at Ning Fan with a horrified expression. Soul-burning divine ability, void-rank divine ability. Impossible. With your harmonious spirit status, how could you obtain this kind of divine material? She gritted her teeth and tried to use other divine abilities to deal with Ning Fan, but it was too late. Ning Fan wouldn't give her a second chance to sneak attack. Never. Ning Fan's feet stepped on the icy rainbow. He took a step forward and pointed at Si Wuxia with a single finger. The plucking finger force seeped into Si Wuxia's body. Si Wuxia's chi was in a mess. He could no longer mobilize his magical power, let alone sneak attack Ning Fan's. I didn't expect that the dignified Wuxia sect master Si Wuxia was actually a woman. She used the ancient devil technique, reverse Yang's secret art, to disguise herself as a man and almost fooled me. The reverse Yang's secret art can create a fake gold core in the body and transform into a man's body to confuse me. No wonder you still have magical power even after I crushed your gold core. Si Wuxia, I really underestimated you. Ning Fan hissed. He tore Si Wuxia's sleeves and really revealed a woman's lotus arm. How is this a man? How is this a transvestite? Si Wuxia was so ashamed that she wanted to die. Her face was like a peach with blood dripping from it. She kneeled on the ground with a cold murderous intent in her beautiful eyes. You dare to insult me? Do you know the origin of my true body above the four heavens? This what is this finger power? She had not finished speaking when the plucking fingers effect became more and more apparent. Her whole body became numb and she gradually lost her Mindy the Jade Lake Saintess. If you hurt me, I will send 100,000 heavenly soldiers to exterminate your entire clan. The dignified Si Wuxia, at this moment, no longer had the slightest bit of arrogance. Under the plucking finger, all of her killing intent turned into fear towards Ning Fan, leaving only fear in her heart. What do you want to do to me? This is what kind of bewitching technique is this? I am the Jade Lake Saintess. So what if you are the Jade Lake Saintess? Since we have enmity, we are enemies. This has nothing to do with whether you are a man or a woman or what your identity is. Ning Fan pinched Si Wuxia's chin with a cold smile, but his heart flashed with a trace of sorrow. Jade Lake Saintess above the four heavens, perhaps she was a woman revered by tens of thousands of people, but her clone in the lower realm turned out to be a devil that harmed him and his little brother Ninggu. She used this innocent face to deceive the eyes and ears of many people, making them think that she was a kind woman, but her heart was clearly like a snake. The four heavens immortal world was not a pure land, or perhaps, there was no pure land under the heavens. Even if you are the Jade Lake Saintess, I will still take revenge. Si Wuxia was afraid. She discovered that the man in front of her was extremely daring. He was not afraid of the ruthless people of the four heavens immortal world and dared to bully her. Her heart was filled with resentment and fear. Let me go. I have never harmed you nor your little brother. I still have things to do in the lower realm. Si Wuxia's pitiful eyes. Ning Fan did not know how real or fake it was. Don't worry, I have no interest in your body and will never touch you. Compared to obtaining your body, I am more willing to have a gold core helper. I'm only going to refine you into a gold core spirit puppet. A finger pointed at Si Wuxia's head, searching her soul and memory, refining her puppet. Half a day later, Ning Fan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. The woman who stood quietly in front of him had bright eyes that were full of innocence, but they carried the magical power of a late gold core expert. She looked at Ning Fan in confusion. On her glabella, there was a plum blossom imprint. That imprint was the imprint of the spirit puppet art. Who are you? Who am I? The woman smiled faintly like a blooming green lotus, looking at Ning Fan with infatuation. You are Cici. From today onwards, you will be my first cauldron. Cauldron Cici wants to be your wife. The woman's eyes were pleading. She had forgotten everything except for Ning Fan. She instinctively relied on and obeyed Ning Fan. That obedience came from the imprint on her body. No, you have made a mistake, so you can only be a cauldron. Change your clothes and go out with me. When I refine the cauldron ring in the future, it will be your new home. The clone of the dignified Jade Lake Saintess in the lower realm had become Ning Fan's first cauldron. Chapter 33. When the ice prison guards saw their young lord bringing a beautiful woman out of the prison, they were all shocked. This woman was undoubtedly released by Ning Fan from the ice prison, so they didn't ask much. These guards only felt strange that there was such a pure and holy woman in the ice prison. Along the way, all the evil cultivators that Ning Fan met turned around to look at Si Wuxia and swallowed their saliva, but they didn't dare to have any thoughts about this woman. This woman following behind Ning Fan was undoubtedly the woman of the 7 apricot young lord. Did she not want to live after offending Ning Fan? Ning Fan went to the southern market square and bought all the supplementary ingredients for the Jade Royal Dan. Whenever he passed by a jewelry store, Si Wuxia's beautiful eyes would flicker and she would pull Ning Fan's sleeve to beg. Cici wants this hairpin, Cici wants this bracelet, Cici wants... No matter how much Si Wuxia begged, Ning Fan only coldly said one sentence. This woman had a blood feud with him, but as a cauldron, she wouldn't receive Ning Fan's love. Ning Fan did buy some beautiful jewelry, but unfortunately, they were all for Jihe. Jiha, the girl who saved him from the abyss when he was on the verge of death. Master doesn't love Cici. Cici is not happy. Si Wuxia pouted her small mouth. When the passers-by saw this, they all looked at Ning Fan with strange eyes. Such a beautiful concubine, yet he didn't love her. Ning Fan was truly a fickle person. However, if these passers-by knew that the person acting like a little girl was the #1 evil cultivator of Yu, the Heaven Separation Sect Master, Si Wuxia, how would they feel? Unfortunately, no one would know Si Wuxia's identity because no one knew that Si Wuxia was a woman. Great bending grass, vein life flower, red fern. I have bought all the ingredients for the Jade Royal. Danning Fan walked out of the last shop and was about to return to the Si Fan Palace. He silently looked up at the direction of the Si Fan Palace with disbelief. He saw that in the sky above the Si Fan Palace, there were 7 ice clouds, but a moment later, there were 7 fire clouds. The fire and ice clouds blended together, turning into 7 colored clouds that formed a vast spirit vortex. Not only Ning Fan, but countless evil cultivators also looked up at the direction of the Si Fan Palace with shock. Clouds appearing in the sky and a vortex of spiritual energy. This is the formation of a 4th revolution Dan. In Si Fan Palace, there was only the old monster who was concocting dawn. It was conceivable that the old monster would be the one who concocted a 4th revolution Dan. Countless demonic cultivators were overjoyed at this moment. The old devil was their master. Since the old devil was able to refine a 4th revolution Dan, it undoubtedly meant that his level of medicine refinement had already entered the 4th revolution realm. 4th revolution alchemist. One of the few alchemy grandmasters in the state of Yu. Even a nascent soul stage expert would have to treat him as a guest of honor and not dare to offend him. When the old monster became a 4th revolution Dan master, the status of 7 Apricot City would rise. Even the powerful sects of other countries would not dare to offend them. Congratulations City Lord for advancing to the 4th revolution pill refinement realm. Countless demonic cultivators bowed at the same time towards Si Fan. The old monster's charisma was so great. In the sky, the commanders of the 3 guards, Nangong, Situ, and Yuchi, and the clan masters of the 4 clans, Wu Lan, Yi Huan, Fang Nua, and Mo Rushue, were all flying in the sky towards Si Fan Palace. A 3rd revolution Dan master, this identity was enough for the old monster to walk unhindered in the Yu country, and a 4th revolution Dan master. The day of 7 Apricot City's revitalization had arrived. And when Ning Fan saw this scene, he soared up and went straight towards Si Fan Palace with Si Wuxia. 7 Yin Yang Mysterious Dan, Master really refined it. Even with my immortal emperor's memories, I could only refine a 4th revolution Dan. Master relied on his own talent to rise from a 3rd revolution Dan master to a 4th revolution master is truly a heavenly genius. I am not as good as. Ning Fan slightly smiled. The old monster relying on himself to refine a 4th revolution Dan was the best. With the 7 Yin Yang Mysterious Dan, the old monster would be able to cure the absolute Yin poison and restore his cultivation. I wonder what cultivation master will be able to restore. Ning Fan had already guessed that the old monster's previous self was a great character in the 9 worlds. Today, the old monster's cultivation was restored, and countless mysteries would be solved. An icy rainbow and an azure light, Ning Fan and Si Wuxia stood in the sky and politely greeted the 7 harmonious spirit experts. The 4 clan heads didn't know the identity of Si Wuxia behind Ning Fan and only thought of him as a harmonious spirit expert, but even so, they were still very surprised. When did the young lord take in a harmonious spirit concubine? Truly incredible. Situ and Yuchi could faintly see that Si Wuxia was not ordinary, but they couldn't guess the identity of this woman. Only Nangong, who had received the report from the ice prison ice guards, knew that Ning Fan took away a woman from the ice prison. He vaguely guessed the identity of this woman and was startled. Young lord, this is... Nangong pointed at Si Wuxia with a shocked expression. The woman in front of him had a somewhat similar appearance to Si Wuxia. And this woman's cultivation was even more unfathomable, at least gold core. With Nangong's intermediate harmonious spirit cultivation, he couldn't see any clues. Could this woman be the heavenly beast schoolmaster that Ning Fan captured before? Nangong found it hard to imagine what method Ning Fan used to subdue a peerless devil like Si Wuxie. And this Si Wuxie seemed to be a woman. Let's talk about this later. Right now, protecting Master is more important. When a fourth revolution Dan is formed, not only will there be a strange phenomenon, but it will also trigger the heavenly tribulation. You guys carefully block the tribulation for Master, I will be back soon. Cici, you stay here and help. Yes, Master. Si Wuxie obediently nodded. The heavenly tribulation of a fourth revolution Dan was extremely powerful. Only nascent soul experts could withstand it. If they couldn't block the heavenly tribulation, then the entire Si Fan Palace would be destroyed. Ning Fan returned to the room with an icy light and saw little Jihe changing her clothes, causing her to scream with a blushing face. Ning Fan didn't say anything and helped Jihe put on her clothes. He then broke the door and hurriedly flew up to the sky. He then took out a hairpin that he just bought and put it on her head. Brother Fan, what are you doing? Jihe hastily asked. Countless four-colored heavenly lightning struck down from the sky. The loud thunder was deafening, causing little Jihe to cover her ears in fear. The heavenly tribulation is coming. In a flash, nearly 10,000 evil cultivators in 7 Apricot City let out an extremely frightened voice. Each of the four-colored heavenly lightning had the aura to easily kill a gold core cultivator. Under this aura, the 7 harmonious spirit cultivators, including Nangong, couldn't resist even the slightest bit. At this moment, it was the crucial moment for the old devil to form his Dan, so he couldn't be distracted. Someone had to block the heavenly tribulation. Cici, you go, crush this heavenly lightning. Ning Fan lightly ordered. Yes, Master. Si Wuxie's beautiful figure flashed, and with light steps, she went straight towards the heavenly lightning. This scene made the 4 clan masters puzzled. In their eyes, Ning Fan wasn't a heartless person, so why would he let a girl die? Even a gold core old devil might not be able to withstand this heavenly lightning, but in the next moment, the 4 clan masters were all shocked. They saw Si Wuxie's white hands forming a seal, and a 7-colored purple mist turned into a rainbow sleeve. The long sleeve danced in the wind, like a fairy. The long sleeve moved, and the beauty moved. The heavenly lightning was actually swept away by Si Wuxie's sleeve. And her calm and elegant appearance was even more holy and pure. In the past, there was the heavenly palace of Zhaoge and night strings, and above, there was the dance of sleeves that could topple a country. Not only were the 4 clan masters dumbfounded, but even the commander of the 3 guards, who knew Si Wuxie's background, was so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth. This dance of sleeves magical technique, the rainbow light, could even put up a fight against a nascent soul cultivator. And the heavenly lightning that frightened all the evil cultivators in the city was stopped by Si Wuxie's dance of sleeves. Following the destruction of the heavenly tribulation, a wave of spiritual power that seemed to be real reverberated in the old monster's Dan refinement room. And with the release of a strange fragrance, the spiritual power reversed like a violent wind. Then, an overbearing and arrogant laughter came from the Dan refinement room, echoing within 100 miles of 7 Apricot City. Done! Ha ha ha! Your father has refined a 4th revolution Dan, Han Yuanji, am back. A black rainbow light broke out of the room and went straight to the sky. It was the old monster. In his palm, there was a 7-colored Dan that emitted a pill fragrance. It was the 7 yin-yang mysterious Dan. Little Ning, thanks. Without you, there wouldn't be me, Han Yuanji. Today, once your father's cultivation is restored, no one in the 9 worlds will dare to do anything to you. The old monster solemnly looked at Ning Fan's, then he immediately swallowed the 7 yin-yang mysterious Dan. And a yin and yang fusion aura came out from the old monster's body. The absolute yin poison instantly melted. His magical power rapidly rose. His aura was already shocking. Peak harmonious spirit, gold core. Early gold core, intermediate, late, peak, nascent soul. Early nascent soul, intermediate, late, peak, spirit severing. His cultivation recovered to the spirit severing realm, but the old monster's aura still didn't stop rising. He faced the sky and laughed as his aura rose. Early spirit severing, intermediate, late, void refinement. Early void refinement, intermediate, late, peak, void fragmentation. An aura that shocked the rain world flowed out from the old monster's body. When he returned to the void fragmentation realm, a black and white ring that stretched for 100 miles appeared in the sky. The first ring of the heavenly Tao. Only when one reached the peak of the 7 realms of cultivation would this ring appear. Once this ring was broken, one would be able to step into the 4 realms of cultivation. The old monster's smile didn't diminish as his aura continued to rise. The void fragmentation realm was divided into 9 levels. Each level was as different as heaven and earth. Void fragmentation first level, second level, 9th level, peak. As long as the old monster destroyed the heavenly ring with one palm strike, he would be able to break through the 7 realms of cultivation and become an immortal. At this critical moment, there was no room for interference. A slight mistake would result in failure in the recovery of his cultivation. Ning Fan was shocked, but Nangong and the others didn't know the details of the old monster and the details of the void fragmentation realm. Obviously, they didn't know the old monster's current cultivation. They looked at the old monster with reverence like mortals. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was looking at the black and white heavenly ring in the sky with reverence. This is the heavenly Tao. Once the heavenly Tao is broken, one can become an immortal. He was shocked. So, his master was originally an immortal existence. No wonder even the Rain God Emperor had to respectfully salute the old monster. The old monster's recovery was a good thing for Ning Fan's, a joyous occasion. Ning Fan didn't expect to get any benefits from the old monster. He simply hoped that the old monster could heal his injuries. He lightly breathed out and looked at the sky with a smile on his face. The old monster's recovery was a matter of course. He only needed one last step to shatter the heavenly Tao and become an immortal. But at this moment, an unexpected change occurred. The sky within 100 li was suddenly covered by an evil energy that covered the sky. 1,000 feet tall ice mountain in the distance suddenly shattered into powder. Then, 1,000-foot tall white bone gate appeared. The appearance of the giant gate was without any warning. The gate opened and a ghostly white bone claw reached out from the gate. The claw grabbed the first ring of the heavenly Tao and crushed the heavenly Tao. The old monster, who was about to break the ring and become an immortal, was about to completely recover his cultivation when his aura suddenly dropped. He spurted out a mouthful of blood and fell from the sky like a falling kite. His cultivation fell straight down. Void refinement, spirit severing, nascent soul, gold core, harmonious spirit, and finally, it fell to vein opening. Then, the giant claw pointed at the old monster's meridians and shattered them inch by inch. Void fragmentation. The owner of the white bone claw was actually a void fragmentation old monster. And when the old monster was about to recover his cultivation, he suddenly made a move and destroyed the old monster's cultivation and hope. What kind of deep hatred did this person have for the old monster? The old monster fell to the ground, creating a 100 zhang deep ice pit. He kept coughing out blood as he looked at the giant white bone gate and the giant white bone claw with an expression of grief and indignation. Why? Why did you betray your master? You don't need to know why. Han Yuanji, if you were content with your current situation, I wouldn't mind sparing your dog life, but you had the delusion of recovering your cultivation. Today, this emperor will no longer let you live. Die. The giant white bone claw pointed at the old monster with a power that could crush everything. Once it reached the old monster would die for sure. Great joy and great sorrow, the 10,000 evil cultivators in 7 Apricot City became frightened puppets. No one knew that the old monster was such a ruthless person. No one knew that the old monster had an even more ruthless enemy that had been plotting against the old monster. And Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned blood red. He held the separation slayer in his hand and rushed towards the giant finger. The memories of the short half a year he spent with the old monster emerged in his mind. He absolutely could not watch the old monster die, absolutely not. So what if it was a void fragmentation old monster? Could he hurt his master? You deserve to die. Ning Fan's murderous intent was shocking. His mind unexpectedly resonated with the long-forgotten scabbard in his storage pouch. The moment the giant white bone gate appeared and destroyed the old monster's cultivation, in a hidden void of the Rain Immortal world, inside a godly palace, the Rain Godly King suddenly stood up with disbelief. The godly king of the evil world, Moksha Emperor, why did this person violate the pact of the 9 worlds and appear in the Rain Immortal world? Could it be that he wants to start a war with the Rain Immortal world? Thinking of the monstrous evil name of Moksha Emperor, even the Rain World Godly King felt a bit of dread. Chapter 34. The recovery of the old monster's cultivation was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but the appearance of this person turned the joyous occasion into great sorrow. Inside the white bone door, an evil aura swept across the area. 10,000 evil cultivators in 7 Apricot City prostrated on the ground, unconscious. The 3 guards, 4 families, and 7 harmonious spirit cultivators were also affected by the aura. Their souls trembled as they fell from the sky and fainted. Jihe and Si Wuxia were unconscious. There were only 2 people in 7 Apricot City who could withstand this evil aura. One was the dying old monster and the other was Ning Fan. Ning Fan's eyes were brewing the murderous aura of ancient chaos great emperors. Even the peak void fragmentation aura of Moksha Emperor could not subdue him. He stared at the white bone finger. Before his mind could think, his body had already rushed out. He rushed in front of the old monster, rushing towards the sky to meet the white bone finger. If he didn't save the old monster would die for sure. Not because of gratitude, but because he didn't want to see the old monster die. Is this the void fragmentation realm? Ning Fan's mind trembled. He couldn't take it. This finger stretched for 100 li. If Moksha Emperor willed it, he could easily flatten the entire Yu country. This was the power of an invincible void fragmentation expert. Under this vast magical power, Ning Fan was as small as an ant. All his struggles were like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Not to mention Ning Fan, there were hundreds of millions of cultivators in the Rain Immortal world, but only a few could withstand this finger. His thoughts turned quickly, and the only thing he could think of was an ancient scabbard. None of his methods could match a void fragmentation opponent. Only this scabbard had a sliver of hope. Holding the scabbard, Ning Fan's eyes revealed a decisive look. This scabbard was obtained from the Dao fruit auction. It contained a unique female sword aura. Ning Fan didn't know what level of sword aura it was. He decided to crush the scabbard and use his body as a guide to draw out the sword aura. Perhaps it could block the white bone finger. He was not sure if this method would be effective, but it was worth a try. In his heart, there was no fear. Failure was much better than bowing down and accepting death. Oh. A mere harmonious spirit dares to block my void fragmentation finger. Overestimating yourself. A sneer of disdain came from the giant door. The voice was as vast as thunder. As for Ning Fan, it was as if he didn't hear the sarcasm as he immersed himself in the scabbard. His mind and spirit gradually harmonized. He channeled his magical power and crushed the scabbard. A wave of sword chi that was like a sigh of a woman attached itself to his body. In just an instant, Ning Fan felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow to his chest. All of his ribs were broken and the bones in his arms were crushed. He nearly coughed out blood and fell into the clouds. The sword chi dissipated. His skin and flesh were lacerated. There was not a single part of his body that was unharmed. Bathed in blood, he stood on the clouds. His meridians were nearly ruptured, and the pain penetrated his soul. However, a void fragmentation realm sword intent emerged in his eyes. At this moment, even the demon world godly king inside the giant door was slightly startled. He didn't expect that Ning Fan could produce a void fragmentation sword chi with his harmonious spirit cultivation. However, at the next moment, Moksha's sovereign regained his indifferent expression. He could tell that the sword chi was not Ning Fan's. It was just forcefully received by Ning Fan through the destruction scabbard with his body as a guide. Hence, it only had the power to launch a single attack. To be able to withstand a void fragmentation sword chi with a harmonious spirit body, this emperor is truly surprised. Unfortunately, with the help of external objects, you are still an ant in my eyes. You can't save Han Yuanji. In any case, this emperor's white bone finger is evolved from the white bone flame. The white bone flame was one of the 12 earth vein demonic flames. The flame was white and condensed into the shape of a white skeleton. Moksha's sovereign was extremely conceited about his finger. He firmly believed that even a true void fragmentation old monster wouldn't be able to withstand his finger. Ning Fan was completely unaware of all of this. His heart was completely immersed in the sword chi of the scabbard. The moment Ning Fan crushed the scabbard, a lonely female voice resounded between heaven and earth. The voice was incomplete, as if it was left behind from a battle that happened countless years ago. The gods and devils of heaven and earth are all ants. If I break my sword, there will be no martial arts in this world. It was just a short sentence, but the image of the female slaying the gods and devils with a single sword was vivid. The moment the voice resounded, the scabbard shattered. In the vault of heaven and earth, the momentum of the entire heaven and earth turned into the might of the sword. The demonic might that blotted out the sky collapsed under the sword intent. At this moment, the godly sovereign of the devil world couldn't stay calm for the first time. What is this sword chi? It has been separated by countless years and is about to dissipate, but it still has this kind of power. If the owner of this sword chi was still alive, this emperor definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the might of his sword. A mere harmonious spirit ant actually has such a terrifying sword chi. This truly surprises this emperor. However, this is as far as you can go. The sword of heaven and earth collided with the white bone finger, turning the white bone into powder. The giant white bone finger was originally formed from flames, but it was destroyed by Ning Fan's sword, turning into a white rain of fire. After one strike, the mysterious female's sword chi disappeared without a trace. Ning Fan staggered back a few hundred steps in the air before stabilizing his body and half-kneeling on the clouds. That scabbard was used by the godly Void Pavilion Master to test Ning Fan. It had a great origin and contained an astonishing sword chi that was enough to block a strike from a void fragmentation expert. However, Ning Fan couldn't find a second scabbard nor borrow a second sword chi. With a harmonious spirit cultivation and a heavy injury, he used the mysterious scabbard to block a void fragmentation attack, but Ning Fan didn't feel the slightest bit happy. How could he block the next strike? Inside the giant door, a 10,000 zhang tall black-armored giant stepped out. He pointed at the sky full of fire, causing the white bone flame to explode and the wind to roll back towards Ning Fan. This giant was the dignified godly emperor of the evil world, Moksha Emperor. His body was 10,000 zhang tall with a dark golden body. His eyes were like the sun and moon, and his grinning smile could shatter the heavy clouds. The moment he appeared, the entire sky shattered into countless cracks, the earth trembled, and even 7 Apricot City was shaking. Under his finger, the white bone flame instantly turned into a sea of fire, submerging Ning Fan. Before Ning Fan was submerged by the white bone flame, he saw the appearance of the giant with only shock in his heart. Giant. This giant alone was as big as a city. This person was the enemy of the old monster. A void fragmentation old monster. One day, he would be able to kill a void fragmentation expert, but not today. The current him didn't even have the qualifications to tremble in front of the giant Moksha Emperor. Being submerged by the white bone flame, Ning Fan activated the yin-yang locket, trying to devour the fire. Unfortunately, the white bone flame was controlled by Moksha Emperor's magical power, so how could it be devoured by others? Moreover, there were 100,000 spirit sense imprints in the flame. If the imprints were not removed, the flame could not be seized. The white bone flame and black demon flame belonged to the 12 earth vein demonic flames. The reason why Ning Fan could devour the black demon flame with the yin-yang locket was because the old monster's cultivation was crippled. Under the control of a void fragmentation old monster, the white bone flame was hard to devour. Ning Fan could only rely on the yin-yang locket to protect himself from dying in the fire. Ning Fan held the separation slayer in his hand and activated the soul burning technique with cold eyes. Being trapped in the sea of fire and not dying, Ning Fan didn't know that this had shocked Moksha Emperor once again. This brat is strange. This emperor controls the white bone flame. No one under the void fragmentation realm can withstand it for more than half a minute. Being blocked by a harmonious spirit junior, Moksha Emperor had already lost a lot of face from his point of view. Today, he used the realm traversing gate to descend into the Rain Immortal world to eliminate the old monster, but he didn't expect a harmonious spirit junior to delay his attack. The black-armored giant raised his head and looked at the horizon. Hundreds of thousands of li away, there were a few tyrannical auras coming from the void. It seemed like the void fragmentation experts of the Rain Immortal world had come to deal with him. After all, he was the godly emperor of the demon world, the #1 enemy of the Rain Immortal world. He was afraid that many people were looking forward to killing him. Humph, forget it, Han Yuanji's meridians are already crippled, it doesn't matter whether I kill him or not. I have done this much, that person should be satisfied. If it wasn't for the promise of the White Devil sect in the Four Heavens Immortal world, I wouldn't have killed my master. When mentioning that person, the dignified Moksha Emperor seemed to be afraid. The experts of the Rain Immortal world were getting closer and closer. He knew that he couldn't stay in the Rain Immortal world any longer. Brat, 100 years later, when the ruins of the ancient heavenly court opens, I will descend into the Rain Immortal world again. At that time, it will be the time of your death. Stepping back into the white bone gate, the black-armored giant smiled and wanted to retrieve the white bone flame to leave, but the white bone flame didn't listen to his command and couldn't be retrieved. You have injured my master and you want to leave peacefully? Ning Fan's cold voice came from the sea of flame. The old monster was injured and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. He couldn't defeat the godly emperor of the demon world, but he could at least take away his devil flame. In short, he must not let the old monster leave unscathed. Under the continuous slash of separation slayer and the soul-burning divine technique, the spirit sense imprint that Moksha Emperor planted in the white bone flame was erased as if it was being burned. The giant's face revealed a shocked expression because he discovered that the 100,000 spirit sense imprints that he planted in the white bone devil flame that he had refined for 1,000 years were being erased rapidly. Brat! How dare you take away my natal devil flame? The giant let out a thunderous roar. Chapter 35. Once the natal demonic flame that he had cultivated for 1,000 years was snatched away, it would not be as simple as a drop in his cultivation. It was even possible that he would suffer a severe backlash. According to Moksha Emperor's personality, he would have immediately retracted the white bone flame after his spell was broken, just in case. However, he had underestimated Ning Fan too much. In Moksha Sovereign's memory, not even nascent soul realm or spirit-severing realm old monsters could seize the devil flame that had been refined for 1,000 years. If it wasn't for Moksha Sovereign's contempt, if it wasn't for the Yin-Yang Locket's heaven-defying ability to devour fire, if it wasn't for the Separation Slayer's soul-burning ability, Ning Fan would have absolutely no chance of seizing the white bone flame. Moksha Sovereign's Dharma form, the black-armored giant, bellowed furiously like thunder. With a punch, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Half of the ice palaces in 7 Apricot City collapsed under the force of the punch. Countless cracks appeared in the void. This punch seemed to be the strongest attack of Moksha Sovereign's entire life. If this fist landed, not to mention 7 Apricot City, even the state of Yu and several neighboring countries, hundreds of thousands of li of land would be annihilated and turned into ashes. When fiend gods were enraged, they could seize the fate of the heavens, seize the fate of the earth, and shatter yin and yang. Invincible. On the contrary, Ning Fan's eyes no longer had a trace of nervousness because he knew that he was going to die. His mind was blank and he was on the verge of fainting. He had seized Moksha Emperor's natal devil fire. In his dantian, the yin-yang locket was sucking in like a whale, and the sea of fire disappeared like a flash in the pan. The power of the fire brewing in the yin-yang locket was far beyond Ning Fan's magical force. He couldn't keep it for his own use, but ultimately, this flame no longer belonged to Moksha Emperor. Puff! The white bone flame was snatched away. The black-armored giant's mountain fist was forcefully broken apart. He spat out a mouthful of black blood, pouring out like a raging river into the Northshine Nation's icy domain. It submerged the icy plains and dyed the world of white snow black. A hint of regret appeared in Moksha Sovereign's eyes. He was too careless this time. If he knew that this ant had a strange method to seize the evil fire, he would have left after destroying the old monster's meridians. Why did he have to go through the trouble of using the white bone flame and pressing down on the white bone finger? Hatred, a shocking hatred. The eyes of the black-armored giant turned pitch black, like the heavenly Tao. Brat, I'm going to kill you. Kill you. Ancient devil Tao, breaking bones to create soldiers. The black-armored giant bit off a finger, but strangely, not a single drop of blood flowed out. A little finger was like a small mountain. The giant bit off the little finger, and the finger bone turned into black light. The black light sprinkled into the sky and evolved into 100,000 demonic soldiers. 100,000 Mo soldiers wielded their swords and spears. They were like puppets, like clay puppets, extremely ferocious. Each one had peak core formation strength. Shattering a finger to summon 100,000 gold core demonic soldiers. Moksha Sovereign wanted to massacre them all. What was being massacred was the cultivation countries within 1,000,000 kilometers of Yu. Ning Fan absolutely could not withstand this technique. He was like a kite with a broken string, falling down from the clouds, falling down from 7 Apricot City. However, there was no need for him to take on the attacks because 2 Void Fragmentation Realm experts, 7 Void Refinement Realm experts and 12 Divine Transformation Realm old monsters had already broken through the void and rushed to his rescue. This group of old monsters were all arrogant and did not even look at 7 Apricot's tragic state. They were under the command of the Divine Emperor of the Rain World. They claimed to be righteous, so they were not interested in the destruction of the cities of the Devil Tao, nor were they sad. However, they could not just watch Moksha Sovereign release 100,000 Mo soldiers. Otherwise, countless cultivation countries would turn into scorched earth. Many righteous sects would be attacked by the Mo soldiers. Hiss! What kind of stimulation did this Moksha Sovereign receive? Why did he come to destroy a small city for no reason? Why did he have such hatred that he sacrificed himself to display the lost divine ability of the immemorial Devil Tao? Shattering a finger bone, without 100 years of bitter cultivation, he wouldn't be able to cultivate this little finger. Among the 2 Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters, one of them was a red-haired old man wearing a purplish-red python robe. His expression was solemn. While he was talking, his hands did not stop moving. He took out a void treasure, Phoenix Cry Ruler. The blood jade ruler transformed into thousands of figures and struck at the Mo soldiers, turning them into blood mist. However, when the Mo soldiers transformed from Moksha sovereign's broken bones exploded, the blood mist gathered again. This technique was the lost divine ability of the immemorial devil vein. The Mo soldiers transformed from it could not be destroyed unless there was a special method. The red-haired old man's expression turned solemn. He was only at the first layer of the void fragmentation realm. Compared to Moksha sovereign, there was still a huge gap. The other void fragmentation realm old monster beside the old man was a young man who looked like a beggar. His hair was messy like grass and his clothes were ragged. Although his clothes were dirty, his appearance was quite handsome. His beard was unkempt, but he had a manly aura. He was the third son of the Rain World's divine emperor, Yunbushu. He was a second-layer void fragmentation realm expert. Oh! The divine ability of the immemorial devil vein, shattering bones into soldiers? I wonder if it's stronger than my immemorial divine vein, ice divine vein. The beggar's indifferent eyes suddenly flashed, revealing his monstrous battle intent. He laughed out loud and suddenly untied a rusty iron knife from his waist. He stretched out his left hand and chopped down 3 fingers with the knife. Using 3 of my fingers to deal with Moksha sovereign's 1 finger. Hee, I wonder what happened to Moksha sovereign to make him suffer such serious injuries. Otherwise, even if I cut off all 10 fingers, I wouldn't be able to hurt him. Ancient divine technique, Demon Emperor's reign. After cutting off 3 fingers, the beggar clenched his fist and the 3 fingers exploded into blood mist. The icy wind in the sky rolled backwards. The icy chi within 1,000 li was absorbed by the beggar's palm. Together with the blood light, it turned into a rain of blood arrows. Hundreds of thousands of flying locusts fell from the sky. 100,000 Mo soldiers, 100,000 Mo soldiers, 100,000 blood rain. The Mo soldiers melted one after another and couldn't recover. Outside the White Bone Gate, Moksha sovereign's giant body was injured again after his Mo soldiers were destroyed. If it wasn't for Ning Fan seizing the White Bone Flame, causing him to be injured first and his magical power to be in disorder, how could his Mo soldiers be destroyed by 2 ordinary void fragmentation experts? He was actually bullied by 2 void fragmentation trash. All of this was Ning Fan's fault. However, Moksha sovereign understood that his injuries had worsened. No matter how much he hated Ning Fan, this was not the time to kill him. Furthermore, if he were to stay in the Rain World for a while longer, the Rain World's godly sovereigns and ice-like sword Yun Tianjue would come. He might even die in the Rain World. A dignified demon world's godly sovereigns would die in the Rain World because of a harmonious spirit ant's sneak attack. Originally, Moksha sovereign decided to kill Ning Fan in the Rain World after 100 years when the ruins of the ancient heavenly court would open. But now, without 100 years, his injuries would not be able to heal. If he were to suffer more injuries, he might not be able to recover even after 100 years. He would miss the great inheritance of the ancient heavenly court. Hateful, Ning Fan was just a harmonious spirit ant, a mere harmonious spirit, a mere harmonious spirit. Roar! Moksha sovereign circulated his magical power for the last time. With a roar, his evil aura swept across, causing the experts of the Rain World to retreat. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he stepped into the White Bone Gate and crossed the boundary to return to the demon world. However, his original purpose was to kill the old monster, but it was destroyed by a harmonious spirit junior. In his heart, there was one more person that he must kill, Ning Fan. Junior, after 100 years, when my ancient heavenly court returns, I will tear your body into 10,000 pieces. The giant gate closed and Moksha sovereign escaped. Although he escaped, none of the experts of the Rain World dared to pursue him. 40 years ago, Moksha sovereign also mysteriously came to the Rain World. No one knew what he did, but at that time, he was chased by 3 void fragmentation experts, 7 void refinement experts and 9 spirit severing experts. Moksha Sovereign was enraged. In the void, he killed 16 of the 19 pursuers and severely injured 3 others. Only 3 void fragmentation experts escaped with serious injuries. Although Moksha Sovereign was severely injured, if he risked his life, the experts of the Rain World wouldn't be able to stop him. He escaped. The red-haired old man snorted coldly and acted like an old man, but his eyes were obviously filled with joy. Obviously, he didn't want to fight to the death with Moksha Sovereign. As for the beggar, Yunbushu, he recalled the words of Moksha Sovereign before he left and revealed a look of interest. Who did Moksha Sovereign say those words to? Could it be that Moksha Sovereign's injuries were related to this person? Who could actually injure the dignified godly sovereign of the demon world? Yunbushu's spirit sense swept across 7 Apricot City and shook his head. In 7 Apricot City, the highest cultivation base was only at Harmonious Spirit. It seemed like the mysterious expert who injured Moksha Sovereign had left. Only when his spirit sense swept across Ning Fan did Yunbushu feel slightly surprised and paid more attention to him. He vaguely felt an inexplicable sense of closeness to this person. Was it an illusion? Shaking his head, Yunbushu formed a hand seal and cast a large-scale healing technique, the Void Realm Magical Art, Heaven Healing Art. It covered 100 li radius of 7 Apricot City and healed the fainted evil cultivators. Third Prince, why waste your magical power for a group of evil cultivators? The red-haired old man frowned in displeasure. The Rain World's godly sovereign was the leader of the righteous path, but this third prince had never relied on his identity. He was neither good nor evil, which gave the Rain World's godly sovereign a lot of headaches. Evil cultivators are also people of my Rain World. Ha, let's go. The group of experts shattered the void and left. In 7 Apricot City, countless evil cultivators who were healed by Yunbushu's heaven healing art woke up one after another. Looking at the mess in 7 Apricot City, they were shocked, but after the shock, they felt lucky. 7 Apricot City was attacked by such a powerful expert, but they were still able to survive. This was really rare. Ning Fan was lying next to the old monster, unable to move even a finger. Beside him, the old monster's eyes were filled with sorrow, but also gratification. That person, who is he? Ning Fan finally asked. Han Yetian, this old man's adopted son, seems to be the Devil World's Moksha Emperor Ning Brat. You saved this old man's life. This old man didn't accept the wrong disciple, but in the end, I couldn't block this person's attack. He is too strong and destroyed your meridians, but I couldn't stop him. You are only a harmonious spirit cultivator. What else do you want? Kill Moksha Emperor? Who do you think you are? You can save this old man's life from his hands. This old man is tired. I will sleep for a while. In a few days, you will go to Sinister Sparrow Sect and bring the 3 black demon armies to 7 Apricot City. I will leave it to you. This old man's cultivation is gone. I will stay in 7 Apricot City and accompany Little May. The old monster's meridians were destroyed. How could Ning Fan not see it? Although the absolute Yin poison was vicious, it wasn't actually that powerful. Removing it was very easy, but the Dan recipe was too rare, and the Yin and Yang fusion technique had long been lost. Therefore, a 4th revolution Dan was more than enough to treat the absolute Yin poison. But now, the old monster's meridians were shattered by Moksha Emperor's evil energy. Reconnecting the meridians wasn't difficult. The difficult part was removing the evil energy from the meridians. With Ning Fan's harmonious spirit cultivation, he couldn't do it, unless he reached the void fragmentation realm or had methods comparable to the void fragmentation realm. Otherwise, he couldn't do it. Or, concocting a 6th revolution Dan and above could try to remove the evil energy, but this was also out of reach for Ning Fan. Master, if my cultivation increases, I will help you restore your meridians. The old monster didn't answer. There was no breath. 100 years later, when Moksha Emperor comes to the Rain Immortal World again, I will make him regret it. At that time, I will no longer be a harmonious spirit. 100 years later, between me and him, who is the ant, it is still unknown. The old monster still didn't answer, there was no breath, his eyes were closed, as if he was dead. Ning Fan's heart tightened, a sense of sorrow welled up in his heart. Could it be that the arrogant and tyrannical old monster that dominated the world died just like this? While he was feeling nervous, the old monster suddenly opened his eyes with a swish, revealing a murderous gaze as he stared at Ning Fan. That's right. When you stole the white bone flame, did you use the soul-burning divine ability? You used your father's soul-burning spirit iron. Your father suffered a loss. Little brat Ning, you cannot be so shameless. The old monster regained his spirit, closed his eyes, and didn't say anything. So this was what he was conflicted about. The happy old monster died, his adopted son betrayed him, and his meridians were destroyed twice, but he was still carefree and naive. This was the realm Ah. An optimistic realm that made Ning Fan speechless. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.